Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Passions Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the soap opera passions. I am your regular host, Latara, back today with a regular host and a brand new host. Welcome back, Maria, and welcome to Shane. Welcome, Shane. Welcome. How are you both doing? Let's start with Shane. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm super excited to be here, and yeah, I'm just in a really great mood today.
Good. I love to hear that. Let's stay in a good mood. We're gonna stay
hmm
there. Maria, how you feeling? I know you're in a good mood.
I'm in a good mood. Definitely in a good mood. We'll get
before we
there.
before we started, Maria's like, they're back together officially. And I was like, okay,
Officially.
I'm gonna let you enjoy this. I'm gonna let you enjoy your little Ethan and Gwen situation. Better her than Teresa at this point. How I feel about it. So we watched episodes 771 through 775. Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right. But before we get into the episodes, we're going to give a quick shout out to all the patrons over on Patreon. Thank you to Munashe, Brie Lynn, Lisa, Sid, Randall, Hannah, Camelia, Samantha, Jeanette, Eric, Fantasia, Sean, S, Larissa, Maria, Lisa, Jessica Jean, Laura, Karen, Uche, Paige, Casey, Garage, Tom Bergeron, Daisy, Shane, who's here today for the first time. We're so happy to have you here. Kelly, Taylor Harris Crane, and DJ. Kelly, I owe you a message. If you hear this, I owe you a message. I'm going to get back to you. Yes, you can be on the show. And I'll get you scheduled for when I come back after the holiday break. So with that said, on with our really big show. So we're going to start today. First of all, the week was interesting. We got a lot of like Chad and Whitney, which I wasn't mad
Yes.
about. I'm not mad about it. I'm just annoyed because it's like I know we're gonna keep doing this forever and ever and
Yeah.
ever with Simone and the back and forth. But Whitney is working a nerve. I'm trying to give her grace because I know she just lost her best friend. So I'm trying to give her some grace on that front, but she's annoying the shit out of me.
She really is. And we
yeah.
also get a temporary Jessica.
We do. And when she showed up, we're going to talk about it more. When she showed up, I was like, why the fuck is Beth here?
She does look like Beth.
I'm
Yeah.
glad I'm not the only one that thought that.
No, especially with the way like the resolution isn't that great. So all I could see was like the hair flippies. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
why is Beth here? She looks too old to be playing Jessica. She looks
She
older
does.
than she looks like
Yeah.
she should be playing one of like Beth, right? Like
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
actress was too old to be playing Jessica. But anyway,
We'll get there.
we will get there. We're gonna start today with our magic storyline. Let's start with magic. I have some things to say about Father Lonigan.
Oh
That's
my
crazy.
God.
He is such
I-
a troll.
A troll,
Yeah,
a troll, a troll. Yeah, he is. He's like trolling K. He is.
For like 3 days.
He is.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what's going on specifically. Let's quickly talk about Timmy and Julian because there's just a little bit with them.
Hey,
and we get them
Latara.
done. What's up?
Not to interrupt, but
No.
I'm actually, before we get into the storylines, I want to know a little bit more about Shane and his
my
origin
God.
story of passions.
Shane, I'm so sorry. I'm so used to doing the same
It's
thing
okay.
every week. I haven't done this I haven't had a new person on in so long. Okay.
I'm always curious because you know what my number one question is always going to be.
Yeah, well, I'm interested to hear this too. You know what? Yes, thank you so much, Maria, because I was just blasting right into the episode, and I had literally told Shane before we started we were gonna talk to him about his passion's origin story. So, Shane, please introduce yourself to the people. Tell us how you found passions, and anything else relevant you'd like to tell us.
All right. So my name is Shane. Sometimes I go by Shane Lee when I'm online, but I discovered Passions when it first came on. So I remember this. I was in middle school, getting ready to complete my middle school because I went to a grade school that was K through 8. So I think I was in 8th grade when it came out because it came out in 1999. But the big thing I remember about Passion's debut is NBC at the time had 3 soaps: Days of Our Lives, Another World, and Sunset Beach. Sunset Beach is my jam. Loved it at the time. It was the first soap opera, aside from Passions, that really, I watched from beginning to end. It was a very short one, unfortunately.
Oh.
But when Passions was going to debut, NBC was like, okay, one has to go: Another World or Sunset Beach. So at first, when they announced Passion's debut, I was like, oh no, it could take the place of my soap. And I didn't know how I was going to feel about it. But Another World ended up getting canceled, and Passions replaced Another World. And then 6 months later, they canceled Sunset Beach anyway.
Right. I was just thinking.
Yeah.
Sunset Beach didn't last very long during the Passions run.
No, no. And it really just found its groove when they canceled it. But I watched Passions from day one because they didn't cancel my show. So I was like, okay, I can watch this show now. And I was, immediately hooked when Grace floated out the window on the first episode. Because I also, we talked about this online in the Discord a little bit. I am a huge fan of Days of Our Lives. That was my first soap opera, and I got hooked on that because because I was made to watch it as punishment for probably fighting with my siblings, and my grandma, mom, and aunts were all watching Days, and they would make me come in and sit down for like 15 minutes. But they did that during Marlena's possession, and again, I was hooked, and I guess the rest is history. I did watch Passions throughout its run most of the time because I was still in school. I just entered in high school. I felt very much like the younger set on Passions, like the younger teens, just not as dumb.
Yeah.
I really related, honestly, more to, sorry, Maria, I'm totally Team Teresa, but I related to her so much more.
Wait a minute.
That's okay.
Where's my air horn? Team Teresa. Yes.
You know what? But I'm actually happy for you because, as you can see, Gwen is getting a following.
Gwen is getting so much traction on the Discord, which honestly, I've said a few times that, again, I feel differently about Gwen on my second watch. I do. I hated her before. Now I'm like, I was being ridiculous. I just was a child and didn't know any better. But yeah, I have noticed everybody's kind of turning against me on the Discord. I'm not loving that. No.
I need to be more active on there. But I just want to say 2 more things, and my story will be done. So coincidentally, a lot of times in school, we got to watch Passions. I don't know how, but like in drama class, we weren't watching it for the acting, for by any means. They're so great. I actually love a lot of the actors, but I don't know. It always worked out where sometimes it would be on in the TV and our teacher would be having us do not a lot. And they'd be like, just go watch TV. And we would watch Passions. It's how I watched all of the Hell in the Closet storyline in school.
I love that.
Oh, that's great.
No, I love that.
I wish my school would put on soaps.
The American education system working at its best.
And then the final thing is my best friend and I loved it so much that we started writing our own soap opera that totally started off like kind of, I don't want to even say it's a spoof of Passions because Passions is a bit of a spoof in itself. Yeah. But it started off being called Desires. So it was totally like a play on Passions.
Do you still have it?
I do. And I've even kind of reworked it through the years because I like to write it for fun now. It's just something I do for fun and create my own storylines because I can control them. And, Passions plays a big aspect in that. But I'm like, my days are not going to last for like the month.
Okay, I don't have the time for this, but I'm saying this on a whim. Do you play The Sims at all?
Sometimes I don't have Sims 4, so it's been a while, but I love it.
Yeah, okay. So I don't play Sims anymore either because I have like an adult life, but not that you can't be an adult and play The Sims. I of course have played the Sims. I play an adult all the time. I'm just
hate it though.
I despise it. I hate being an adult. Yeah. But I used to play The Sims all the time. I got it again in 2020, to pass the time and realized that it wasn't quite as fun as I used to find it. However, I feel like making a Sims soap opera would be so much fun. If you record the Sims in the storylines. I don't have the time to do it, but if I did, I absolutely would do that. So
that's why my soap opera is my for fun time, and I reworked it so now mine is more like Passions meets Sunset Beach meets Dark Shadows, with, Me Stays of Our Lives with dabs of General Hospital, A Touch of One Life to Live, and a sprinkle of Bold and the Beautiful.
Honey, I would love to read it. Please send me a chapter or two, okay?
Yes.
If you have like an audio version of it, like if you've put actors to it, oh, I would be all about it, truly. So
I haven't done that yet. I thought one day I might release some of it online, but just with time, I've only got like maybe 10 episodes written, but I look back on it like that. I've reworked a lot of it. So I'm trying to learn how to not make, because as a writer, I like to write fiction. So it ends up being like too long. And I'm like, this would be like a week's worth of episodes in one chapter. But
yeah.
I'm happy to share,
You know,
bits and tidbits if you're happy.
I would love to read it. So, all right, we're gonna get going on the story on the show today. We're gonna try and get through absolutely everything, but I do have like a hard out today. I have to leave here by a certain time because it's Laura's birthday.
Yay!
It's Laura's birthday, and I have to dredge my ass all the way to Jersey because
Oh,
I know I have to go to Jersey, which I don't mind doing. It's for her birthday, obviously. So,
yeah.
anyway, let's get this party started with magic. And like I said before, let's quickly talk about what's going on with Timmy and Julian, and then and then get into all the stuff with Kay and the zombie and everything. Okay, so
All right.
Julian and Timmy are on the bus headed back to Harmony, right? And Timmy's like, you know what? It's been so long. I need to call Tabitha and let her know I'm on my way back. So he calls Tabitha on his cell phone, and she's thrilled to hear from him, but she tells him that he cannot come back to Harmony. Because he's like, I'm coming home. I'm almost there, Mama. And she's like, no, I would love to see you, but you can't. If you come back to Harmony, you will die. She tries to convince him to give up on trying to save Charity, but he's like, no, I have to come back. I have to save Charity. If it costs me my life, it costs me my life. So, because Timmy's the best.
Mhm.
He's the best character
Yeah.
on the show. He has the most. He's the straightest arrow with the best moral compass, right?
Yeah.
And he really does love Charity. Like, this
Yeah,
is
he
true
does.
love, So anyway, he says he's coming back. Then Zombie comes in, realizes that Tabitha's on the phone on the phone with Timmy, and she's like, give me that phone. Let me talk to the imp. I think she calls him that. And
Yeah.
Tabitha's like, no. And doesn't she throw the phone across the room? She like hangs it up and throws the phone.
Yes.
I think she just hung the phone up and threw it across the room. And Tabitha refuses to let her talk to him. And then the zombie just reiterates her same old tired threats. I'm gonna kill Timmy. I'm gonna kill Miguel. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing that Kay can do about it. And then she's like, starts musing about that essence of charity stuff that she made. And she finally realizes that it isn't around her neck. And
Yeah.
so she goes off searching for it. Timmy and Julian are on the bus. Julian keeps talking about how he can't wait to get back to his mansion and get back to his life of privilege. And once he gets to his house, like, because Timmy keeps saying to him, like, aren't you still afraid for your life? Like, once people find out that you're still alive and Teresa died for your murder and you could have saved her, they're gonna hate you. And he's like, well, once I get back to the mansion, I will lock the doors, and no, I'll never have to see another Lopez Fitzgerald or Bennett or Russell ever again. Meanwhile, all of those people are at his house, like having a wait
Right.
for Teresa.
Yep.
He like says it again, and like all those people are at the house. So Julian is thinking he's gonna get back to his house. Nobody's gonna be there. He's gonna be able to like lock himself away, and basically by the time people realize he's still alive and that he's there, he'll have enough security to keep him safe.
Does he not remember that Pilar works there?
Maybe
Or is he planning to just fire her?
Maybe he's like the rest of us and assumed she quit by now.
No, I think she still works there.
I would assume she would quit by now. Like, girl, these people have killed your daughter. Quit this job. Quit this job.
I think she still works there.
I think you're right. I think she does still work there. She is too dedicated to that terrible work, that terrible mansion.
And you would have to know Rebecca and Ivy are still somewhere up there too.
Right. And they were two of the people who were wanting to kill him. right? Like it wasn't just the Bennetts, the great unwashed, as he calls them. It was
Mhm.
Ivy and Rebecca as well. And the fact that your own father wouldn't even help you, I feel like maybe you should be more cautious coming back to the mansion. But he feels like
Yeah.
he feels like once he gets into the mansion, he's in the clear. So they get back to Harmony. They split up. Timmy agrees not to tell anybody that Julian is back in Harmony. Like Julian asks him, like, well, not asks him. He tells him, "You have to promise me to keep your mouth shut. And once I'm back in the mansion, nobody will be able to get to me." And Timmy agrees. He's like, "Yeah, I have bigger things to do right now. Like, I have to go. I have to go save Charity." So that's
Yeah.
really all we see of them in these episodes. Y'all have any more to add to that? Like, did I miss something? Because that's all I saw.
Timmy keeps trying to, make the goodbye something, I think, more so because he considers that he grew close to Julian, and Julian's just like, good riddance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good
Any
point to make.
redemption was just thrown right out the window. He went back to just being old
Yeah.
Julian.
Oh, same old cowardly, dastardly Julian. Yep. So now let's talk about what's going on with Kay and this zombie and I am sick to death of this zombie. I'm
Yeah.
more sick of Father Lonigan. I can't stand this priest. He's so annoying. So Father Lonigan finds Kay. I can't remember where Kay, what was going on with Kay? Why was she like outside? She just talked to zombie probably, but I don't know why we pick
She
up
was
right
talking to
here.
Simone.
Thank
Simone
you.
came.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh God, Simone. She had a very frustrating conversation with Simone. Simone's so delusional, and we will get there. But yeah. So she's outside. Simone has like left, and Kay is left alone, and that's when Father Lonigan walks upon her, finds her, and asks her, like, "Hey, Kay, how are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm fine, Father." And he's like, "No. How are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm fine." He's like, "It's a sin to lie to a priest, Kay." Like you said, Shane, he immediately just starts trolling her, right?
Yeah.
It's a sin to lie to a priest, Kay. And then he gives her this speech about inviting evil back to Harmony and that she's the one that has to deal with it. He says, "You're going to have to do more than feel contrite, Kay. It's up to you to stop the dark forces you created from killing Miguel." And then Kay's like, "How am I supposed to do that when Miguel still believes that the zombie is the real Charity?" And Father Lonigan says, "I do not have all the answers." Big
Oh,
surprise.
of course not.
Big surprise. I only
you know-
know. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, I'm just now realizing because he mentioned Charity being in a block of. Dude, you know there's somebody in a block of ice and you're not telling anybody?
He knows absolutely everything. I cannot stand this priest.
You're the man of the cloth. I know we've had debates about like confessional stuff, but there's literally a human in a block of ice and you're not telling anybody.
You're supposed to be saving people from the evil. Like, what are you doing? What are you actually doing? So he says to her, "I do not have all the answers. I only know that your real cousin must be freed from the block of ice before Miguel pays for your mistake. If you cannot undo the evil you have created, we are all doomed. Can you help?" She actually asks him at one point, "Okay, can you help?" Well, actually, before that, she says, "I have an idea. I'm going to tell my dad. I'm going to tell my dad everything. I'm going to come clean, and we're going to figure this out." This priest stops her. Is like, "No, you cannot tell your father. He's the chief of police. That's the last thing you should do is involve the police." Why? And she says that, like, why? And he's like, "Well, the only way to fight evil is with the power of goodness. What can the police do? They can't fight the zombies. She's a demon from hell." Like, but the more people who are in the know about this, like at the very least, we could go get Charity out of the ice. Like, even
Exactly.
if we fight the zombie, we can go get Charity out of the ice.
And the mere mortals did fight demons in the house when it was being sucked in hell.
And they made it. They made it back out. They all survived.
They all survived.
And one of the ways they survived was because Father Lonigan came in with his holy water. Like, you can help. I don't know why you won't help. I don't know why he won't help.
I
and
think
doesn't
maybe
want to.
he is a demon.
maybe he is. I think he must be on the side of the demons. Like, he You know what I mean? Like he's just playing
Yeah.
both sides to see who wins, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, it's like also he has powers because also during this exchange he felt the vial and the essence of like all of a sudden he can sense that she has this vial.
Yeah.
When did he get superpowers too?
Well, he can always sense like good and evil. Like that's been his thing for a long time. Like
Demon.
anytime he's near demon, anytime he's near like Tabitha, he's like, or when what was he calling Timmy for a while? No, he was calling Kay a soulless creature. Like he couldn't see her. He didn't
Yes.
know who it was. He could sense a soulless creature nearby. So he's always been able to kind of sense these things. But he always says he can't do anything about it. But I've seen him at least like rock out with some holy water. You know, he could do. There are things he can do. You could say a prayer. I think he does say the only thing I can do is pray. Like
He could
Yeah.
go chisel the ice block from Charity, because he finds everything anyway, even though he's blind. So he could find the cave.
you could corroborate Kay's story, right? Like
Mhm.
the fact that the reason you don't want her to go to the police is because the police won't believe her. Why don't you go with her and say, well, I witnessed some of these things as well. Like I do believe Kay. Corroborate her story. At least
Yeah.
have them look. At least have them check the fucking cave. I don't.
In
Okay.
the least, right?
Yeah, he won't even do the bare minimum. He will not even do the bare minimum. The Vatican needs to take back his like accreditation or whatever it is. They need to take it back.
He is the opposite of Alistair. He knows everything but does nothing, whereas Alistair knows everything and maneuvers chess pieces into places where he likes.
Yeah, Alice
yeah.
knows everything and does way too much. So yeah, she asks him, well, can you help me at least? And he says, I cannot. I can only pray that heaven will heed your call. Okay. He's so unhelpful. And then Kay brings up the fact that there's someone else that Zombie is trying to stop from stopping her. So she's like, well, at least I'll have the help from whoever that is. So after Father Lonigan, well, actually, he starts berating her. Like he goes in and in and in on her. Like Kay is ready to do the right thing. She's ready to do
Yes.
the right thing, and instead of encouraging her, he brings up all of the bad that she's done in the past. And he's like, how can I believe that you're really going to do the right thing and not turn evil again? You promised the same thing last time, yet here you are, a repeat offender. He calls her a repeat offender. And he says, I've come to think your lust for Miguel. Like, he is going in on this girl. He had a bad day. And Father Lonigan has had a very rough day, and Kay is bearing the brunt of this man's frustrations because I have paragraphs of shit he said to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like,
I mean, cool. Maybe we can chalk it up that he is so distraught over Teresa's death.
he could have stopped that.
I know. I'm just trying to throw a bone here at the poor guy, but no, he does deserve all the crap we're giving him.
Yeah,
he
maybe
sucks.
Maybe he's projecting. Maybe he's projecting because he feels guilty because he did an
Ooh.
evil thing, right? Like
That's true.
it's staying silent in the face of like, you know, someone losing their lives when you knew the truth and could have changed that outcome. I think that's a sin. He needs to go confess to somebody. Shit.
Yeah, he does.
I'm sick of him. He's like, your lust for Miguel will drive you to choose the wrong path. Notice I said lust and not love. Like, okay, calm down, sir. I heard you say lust.
And it came out of nowhere because she wasn't even talking about like her love for Miguel or doing this for Miguel. She's actually was talking about Charity.
She was talking about saving Charity. She was. That's a great point. She was talking about Charity, and then he brings in Miguel and that she's lustful and just basically calling her a slut. I didn't care for it at all. I didn't care for it at all. But I don't care for him. I don't like him at all. And so yeah, he just keeps going in on her about the lust, and he says, I only fear that it will drive you to do the very same thing again. Yeah, so Kay promises him that she will not use evil to try to get Miguel again. And then this is when she brings up that the zombie had dropped that vial of essence of charity, but she doesn't know what it is. And so he's like, let me see it. She hands it to him, and he's like, oh, this vial, it puts me in the mind of Charity. Like, this vial has goodness and light, and I hate the way they talk about Charity too. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, it kind of. I was getting sick of zombie Charity, and then now with that little speech, I was like, oh, now I remember why I don't like regular Charity. Because I was ready for regular Charity to come back, but if this is how we're gonna talk about her, could we just get rid of both of them? They both suck.
yeah, it reminded me of one of the reasons why Charity is such an annoying character, and part of it is how everybody else talks about her. And it's like, I'm on Kay's side, because I too have known someone that everybody's like, oh, they're so great, oh, they're so wonderful, they can do no wrong, they're perfect, she's perfect, she's beautiful, you look like Linda Evangelista. Like, yeah, I'm over it, and so, yeah, him saying like, oh, this vial contains the essence of goodness and light, and they do this a lot with this vial in these episodes, with oh, Charity's so perfect, she's so good, and nobody's perfect.
Mm-mm.
Nobody's
No.
perfect, and I hate that they have like turned her into this like Jesus character. Give her some flaws. Give her
Yes,
something.
please.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, anyway, Kay is like, I'm gonna get rid of this, because they both figure out it's the essence of Charity, and that the zombie was gonna use it to seduce Miguel. Kay's like, I promise, I'm gonna take this straight home and pour it down the drain. My very first note after that was, why not pour it out right here, right now, right?
Yeah.
I was like, why would you need to take it home to get rid of it? Just pour it out, be done with it. But she does not do that. She decides to go home with the vial. Father Lonigan tells her, I know the temptation that vial holds for you. I don't even think she was considering that.
No,
Until
I
he
was gonna
said it.
say, I wrote it. Father Lonigan planted the seed in her head, because at no point she's been holding on to this vial this whole time, and no point did she decide that she was gonna use it until he mentioned it. He was the reason why. Later on, we see what we saw.
He put that
He
idea
tells
in her
her-
head. Yeah.
He tells her that it would work on anyone, and when he said that, it blew my mind. So I was like, wait, how do you know? And she wasn't even thinking about it, like you guys said. If he had not said that, she probably would have really just dumped it out down the drain.
Yep. She might have jumped it right there. If he had said, just pour it out right here, right now, she probably would have just done it. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because she was not even thinking. She genuinely was like, I'm going to take this home and get rid of it. And
Yeah,
then he's like, I know the temptation that vial holds for you. And she's like, oh, I had not considered that, but thanks for
That's
the
a
tip,
good plan.
Thanks
Yeah,
for the
and
tip,
remember
Father.
last week when we first found the vial, I even mentioned like, oh my god, maybe she uses it on herself, and you were like, oh god, I hope they don't do that. And here they are. Yes, we are doing that.
It was wishful thinking of me to hope that they wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, I knew this was coming, because I remember this. I didn't remember. We've seen her turn into Charity like 3 times at this point. This might be the third time. It might be the fourth, but it's somewhere in the 3 and 4 range. So, and like I've been saying for years at this point, this girl always has this exact same plan. The plan is always the same. The means might be a little different, but the plan is the essence of the plan is always the exact same, which is to trick Miguel into thinking that she's Charity and to sleep with her, right? So, and she's gonna do it, y'all. I remembered this whole thing, and so he tells her the consequences for using this could be disastrous. Do not give in to temptation. Get rid of this. So Kay goes home and is, of course, tempted. And then Miguel comes in. He's looking for Charity. And Kay sees him and she's like, maybe I should turn into Charity.
Yep.
She sees him and whatever. Then Zombie comes in and tells Kay that she's looking for that vial, and then she can't find it, and then she goes out to find Miguel, who's in the living room. So he goes in there and she immediately starts to try to seduce him, and he's like, not now.
Yeah, I just lost my sister.
My sister just died. And Miguel gets
Which shows that he is not like every other male on this show, because the second she died, everyone else was fucking.
That's so true. Ethan, Luis kinda.
Well,
I mean, it was
he didn't sleep with her, but decided to propose.
but he proposed, and it's like that's bad time.
Chad and Whitney.
Yeah. Everybody's like getting it in, and Miguel's the only one with like a rational brain. Is like, this isn't the best time for us to be making choices like this, and like to be sleeping with each other. So he gets upset by her advances, like because she's coming on to him. It's like, wait, we need each other now more than ever. I just want to be close to you. You know, I just want us to make love. It'll make you feel better. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna stop you right there. We need to talk. He says, I just don't feel the same way about you as I did when we first met. He says that she's changed, that she thinks more about sex and less about love, that she's more hard and less innocent, which I don't love the use of innocence and innocent as like, that's why I'm attracted to you. I don't love that. But whatever, you know, they are both kind of innocent, whatever. And he says, I don't feel the same connection that we used to have. And he says, you used to have a glow about you, an innocence to you. And then she throws a fucking tantrum. No, I was cracking
hissy
up.
fit.
Yeah. A hissy fit. She throws a hissy fit. She goes like, oh, and she slams some stuff off of a table, and she's like, I just want to have sex. This is what she says. Damn it, Miguel, all I want to do is have sex. Is that so hard for you to understand? Like, if you were trying to seduce him, this is not helping, right? Like, nope. I don't think this is helping your case, babe. He just said that you think more about sex than love, and then you just proved that to him, right? And so Miguel's like, well, the girl I fell in love with would never let her anger get the best of her, and she certainly wouldn't demand sex. She is out of line, right? Like, it's crazy. And if I were Miguel at this point, I would break up with her, but he didn't. He tells her that he knows that she's been going through a lot, and that's why he's not going to break up with her. And he just wants to tell her how he's feeling. It's actually like the most mature response that anybody has had on this show, I feel like, as far as like communication in a relationship. For him to be like, I'm not happy with you right now. I don't want to break up with you. I love you, but I want you to know how I'm feeling, and these are my feelings. Yeah, it was actually very mature of Miguel. I was kind of proud of him in that moment. Yeah. Anything to add to that? I've been talking for a while. I'm sorry.
No.
Kay was listening the whole time, and I think like the rest of us, she was really happy when she thought Miguel was gonna break up with her, or with the zombie, and of course he didn't. So I don't know. I've just been on Kay's side this whole rewatch, like you've mentioned this time.
Yeah, I'm definitely on Kay's side. Her methods are ridiculous and wrong. Like, a lot of it's wrong. But if I have to choose between her or Charity, I'm choosing Kay.
Yeah,
I'm choosing Kay.
Yeah. Every time.
Every single time. So, like you said, Kay was listening that whole time, and then zombie Charity says, oh, I'm so sorry, Miguel, I'm gonna clean up this mess. And she goes to the kitchen, and she realizes that Kay is standing there and is holding something behind her back in her hand, and she's like, Kay, what do you have in your hand? She realizes she has her essence of charity, right? And she attacks her, and these girls struggle for the vial. And of course Miguel comes in, and he's like, Charity, why are you attacking Kay? I loved this.
I did too. I was like, it was actually nice to see Miguel stand up to Charity and defend Kay for once, because we know that if this was the past, he would have been like, Kay, what are you doing to Charity? And it would have been the other way around.
Exactly. And so I love that his immediate reaction was that Charity's doing something to Kay. Because that's has not been historically how he sees things. Now, this shit cracked me. Again, Miguel, I think Miguel's like being the most mature of any character in the show right now. And only for this moment, but just for this moment. Okay, sorry. Zombie Charity says, oh, we weren't fighting. We were just messing around, but Kay has something that belongs to me, and she won't give it back. Kay says, it's not yours. It's mine. Miguel doesn't know what it is, but he pulls Kay to the side and he tells her, just give it back. Please just give it back to Charity, whatever it is. And he's like, she's not herself. She just flew off the handle. She just threw a fit in the living room. She's like losing her mind. He says to her, maybe she needs therapy. Finally, where's my
Yes.
Maybe she needs therapy. He says maybe it's a delayed reaction to her losing her mother in the fire or all of those doom and gloom premonitions, but I think she needs help. Ah, yes, finally.
Thank you.
Said it. We've been saying it for years. Years. And now that
will she get it? No.
No.
My thing is, of course she's not going to get it, but my thing is he decides she needs therapy now because she wants to have sex. Something's got to be wrong with her in the head because she wants to have sex. Right? Because she's like sexually frustrated. Then she's like a hysterical lady and she needs therapy now.
I think also with the anger issues that she's having, and it isn't,
it
just
wasn't
the sex.
We're all gonna die. It wasn't, No,
all that stuff. She just needed a nap. She was tired.
But now she wants to get some dick in. She needs a therapist. Get her to a doctor.
Yeah. Oh my God. And there was a great line that Miguel did tell Kay. It's like, I feel lousy for asking for any more than I already have. I don't know how I would have gotten through my sister's execution without you, but I need you to do me this one favor. I don't have anywhere else to turn. I just thought that was really sweet that he acknowledged that she was there for him when he needed her at the execution.
Yeah, he acknowledges Kay a few times. Both times it's like, you're such a good friend, Kay. But then at one point he does mention and bring up, which I don't know why he's doing this unless you're ready to lead this girl on who has already told you she loved you multiple times, to bring up the fact that Teresa had told him that she always thought that he and Kay would get together if Charity hadn't come to town, which he has said himself. That he was going to ask her out if Charity hadn't come to town. So it's not like new information. It was unnecessary for him to bring up unless he's trying to in some way stoke those flames, right? In my opinion, other people might see it differently, but I think it was kind of an unnecessary, almost hurtful thing to say if you're not going to break up with this other girl, right?
It is very, very hurtful. I mean, is he hanging around with Ethan? Like leading two women on, saying the wrong thing?
Interesting.
It's also hurtful, especially after Father Lonigan just, gave her the rundown.
Yeah, this poor girl. She's going through. I'm saying this poor girl. Kay is no poor girl.
No, but you could almost understand why she goes through extremes, because you have Father Lonigan berating her. You have her mother constantly thinking the worst of her. So
this girl has no good role models in her life, if we're being honest. She has nobody supporting her at all.
She has no adult supporting her.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even her friend Simone berates her, and that's supposed to be her friend.
I was about to say, who is supporting the only person who supports her is Tabitha. The only person who supports her is Tabitha.
And maybe not for the best reasons.
No. For her own selfish reasons, but still it's something. It's more support than she gets from Grace. Yeah. And what's his name? What's her father? Sam, he's just like never around. I think they've had 5 scenes together in
No, but you gotta at least give Sam credit, because at least when Kay speaks, like case closed, she solves everything.
Case closed.
So Sam got her back.
He only uses her to help him do his job. That's it.
Yeah.
But Kay, she's an interesting character. She's a dynamic character. I do like Kay. Okay, so like you said, Miguel kind of gives her this heartfelt speech, and so she decides to hand whatever it is over to Charity. Now, a reminder that Miguel doesn't know what it is. He's just like, whatever it is, just give it back. So Kay drops something into Charity's hand, and it turns out to be a rosary with a cross on it, and the cross burns into zombie Charity's hand because she's a demon, right? So she drops it, she yelps, she's jumps back and hides her hand. Miguel's like, what's wrong? I thought you wanted it. And she's like, no, I mean, it pricked my hand and I don't want that. I thought it was something else. He's like, he tells her, you're just tired. Go to bed, basically. He's like, you're losing your mind. Please go to bed. Go to sleep. You're just tired.
He
And
needs to call Eves with her sedatives.
he does need to, let me see. Where's my sedative button?
You want a sedative or something to quiet your nerves?
Yeah. She does
I
need a
love it.
sedative. She does need a sedative, honestly. She's out of control. So yeah, he says like go to bed. He sends her to bed. She doesn't go to bed, but whatever. He thinks she has. And Miguel and Kay talk some more, and he tells her, I haven't been a very good friend. I haven't been the same friend I used to be since Charity came into my life, and he apologizes to her for that, and I appreciated that because it's true.
Yeah.
He hasn't been a good friend to Kay. He hasn't.
No, because his whole world was Charity and protecting Charity and innocent Charity, and Charity's so good. Charity's so wonderful. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and isn't charity so great, everyone?
Yeah, Charity's so great. They're trying to force us to believe, just shoving that girl down our throats. We don't want her. You know?
Everyone become friends of Charity. Come on.
No, I wouldn't be able to. I've said it once. I'll say it a million times. I would not be able to be friends with that girl, no matter how nice she was. I wouldn't be mean to her, but she could not be in my circle. It's just too much chaos. She's chaotic. Yeah. She's chaotic, and I would not be able to be friends with regular.
Didn't they witness her talking to a tree?
Well, that's what saved them from the storm of the century, so they can't be too upset about that.
Well, I mean, not that they'll be upset, but just, like, this girl's weird.
It might tip you off that something is going on upstairs, but so anyway, this is when Kay and Miguel are starting to kind of get closer, and they're, sharing feelings with one another about their friendship. And Kay sends him to the living rooms like, I'll get us some lemonade. And she decides to use the essence of charity. She's like, which I personally, I guess I am against her using the essence of charity, but I also am not totally against it. It's just that I wouldn't use it right now. Right? Today? Is today the day? Right? He just had like this issue with Charity, and his sister just died. Maybe give it a week. Maybe, try to keep zombie Charity at bay for as long as you can, and then use the essence of charity. Also, she's off task. You're off task. I know that you want to get with Miguel, and like that was your initial like plot plan, but I think the zombie is more pressing than having sex with Miguel right now, right? But
But at the same time, if they get rid of the zombie and Charity comes back, poof, there goes Kay's chance of being with Miguel. So she's taking the opportunity of getting it in before we get Charity back.
Is it her? Does it give up her chance of getting Miguel back? Because in my mind, it's like, well, yeah, actually, you're right. Never mind. You're right. That would kind of put a damper on her plan, but she could still just pretend to be Charity when Charity's away, like she's done before, right? So I don't know. And like she's about to do now. So that's all I have for magic. Y'all have anything to add to that before we move on?
No, but it'll go to show that if it works and he does sleep with her, then his sister's execution was just an excuse as to why he didn't sleep with the other Charity.
Yeah, because it's like...
Because he's willing to sleep with this Charity.
Yeah, because it's like, why would real Charity being there change the fact that you are mourning your sister and don't want to, like, I don't know.
It implies that had it been no zombie and it was real Charity, he'll be getting it in with her too, just like everyone else.
He's just like everyone else.
And he would have credited Teresa. Teresa would have wanted this.
Teresa, I don't care for the way you whispered that.
Well, I mean, didn't Kay say something about how, like, Teresa said that they would end up together? So she's like, okay, here we go, and pours it on her.
Yeah, it's like, we're doing this for Teresa. Oh, good.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of what Chad and Whitney are doing.
Yeah. I don't agree with what they're doing either, but
We do see real Charity for like a hot minute and at the very end of the week. Like she's
thank you for reminding me. That's not in my notes. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes. she has thought out basically.
Mhm.
And zombie Charity decides to go to the cave.
Yes.
And so we see her, that's all we see, is that she goes to the cave and sees that regular Charity is pretty much
yeah.
defrosted.
Which tips her off that Timmy is in harmony, because that is what's causing the ice to melt, is Timmy coming closer with the demon horn claw.
Mhm.
It's
Demon
a horn.
I didn't know what it was
Demon
either.
horn. Yeah.
I was already
It's
saying
like a
scroll,
claw, but-
Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many little magical accoutrements. So yeah, the demon horn, he's getting closer. He's in harmony, and now, like you said, the zombie is tipped off that he's nearby. And so, all right, we're gonna move on to what did I say we're gonna do next? I can't remember.
Chad and Whitney?
Chad and Whitney. All right. I don't have anything for Chad and Whitney, but I guess for right now, because they're getting it on, we'll do this one. Chad and Whitney are getting it on. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's been going on for days at this point. We've watched them have sex since last week. This started last week.
Yeah, and they
goes
keep
all
going
week.
back to it because they would stop, and then they'll do it again.
Yes, they are doing it and doing it wild. No, they just so we pick up there, like Chad and Whitney are what do they call it? The beast with two backs. They're forming the beast with two backs together. Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
No.
I learned that from the tutors when I was like, I don't know, 15. Making the beast with two backs. But anyway, they're doing
They're
that.
making love. That's what Passion calls it.
Yeah.
I know you always have a problem with
Bums
that,
me
but
out.
that's how Passions call it. They're making love.
I guess, you know what? When it's these two, I guess I don't mind the making love. Them saying they're making love. When it's like Brian and Diana, it just grosses me out. Yeah. So let's actually talk about what's going on with Simone. Simone is looking for Whitney, right? And so she has decided to, in order to find Whitney, she needs to find Chad, she thinks, right? Which, I mean, makes sense, since every time you see Whitney, she is with Chad, and that should clue you off to something. Like, why would you be looking for your sister and like, let me go find Chad? I'll probably find Whitney with him, right? But anyway, she's looking for Whitney and Chad, and she runs into Kay, and she talks about her feelings around like, oh, I'm so sad about Teresa, and I feel terrible because I accused Whitney, and I made her feel miserable, and I feel like a jerk. I was such a jerk to my sister, and I know that my sister would never try to steal Chad from me. You're right. She would never try to steal Chad from you, because Chad is not yours. She doesn't have to steal Chad from you. But she tells Kay that she's looking for Whitney because she wants to apologize to her for thinking that Whitney would do something so terrible, and slapping her, which I vaguely remember her slapping her. Do we remember her slapping Whitney? I think they were at the hospital.
Yes.
Yeah, she did. It was at the hospital.
Yeah. So then Simone like gives this speech to Kay about how much she loves Chad, and Kay says Simone gives this speech to Kay and is explaining how much she like loves Chad, and that that love for him was going to send her over the edge if she thought that Whitney was stealing him. And then Kay's like, well, now you know how it feels. And Simone says, there's no comparison between me and Chad and you and Miguel. And I thought to myself, you're damn right there's no comparison. Miguel has kissed that girl. Miguel has told that girl he loves her. That Miguel has told her that if Charity was not in the picture, they would be together. Chad has not done anything with you beyond bleeding out thinking that you are Whitney. Say, I love you. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Anytime you see this man, he's with Whitney. He is never with you. You are always looking for him, seeking him out, searching for him. You can't find that man.
Nope.
Like, so that pissed me off so bad when Simone said that to Kay. Because you're damn right there's no comparison. You're damn right there's no comparison. Absolutely not.
Agreed.
Yeah, Miguel has kissed her passionately in his full
Yes.
faculties.
Mhm.
Okay, which is more than I can say between you and Chad. So anyway, I'm gonna keep going. So she says, when I thought that Whitney was seeing Chad behind my back, I felt like I had lost everything that mattered to me. I hated her with every cell in my body. And when I slapped her, my mind went blank. I just wanted to scratch out her big, beautiful eyes. Let me just say, there's something deeper there. This is not about Chad. Babe,
No.
you need to go talk to your mother, who is apparently a psychiatrist too, and explain these feelings to her so she can prescribe you.
If you want a sedative or something to quiet your nerves.
Because you need to calm the fuck down. What are you talking about?
Oh,
You
yeah.
just want to scratch out her big, beautiful eyes, and that's your sister.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's something deeper here. This is not just
Yes.
about Chad. This is about your own self-esteem and how you feel about yourself and how you feel in comparison to Whitney. And I wish she would. I know she's a child, so it's hard for her to kind of like grapple with that and understand that and put that into context. But I wish we explored that more in the show, more so than just Whitney's trying to steal my boyfriend, so I hate her. No, you've hated Whitney since you could walk, probably. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
You
you've
always
hated
felt
Whitney
like you
since
were in her shadow. I mean,
Exactly.
she's Sugar Bear, but she obviously has the anger issues and that's why I don't know if going to Eve would help her, because she'll just be like, you're acting like your father, break down the anger.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Eve would just give her some drugs.
If you want a sedative or something to quiet your nerves.
But something's better than nothing at this point. Like, if one of your daughters is ready to murder the other one, maybe you should drug her.
No.
You know?
But they've got to pay
mean,
attention to her first.
Listen, my mom, I'm going to tell y'all this. My mom used to drug us.
Should you really be putting this on the internet?
When you hear it, you're gonna be like, "Oh, okay." No, like when we would go, like, if we were going to like a show or something like that, like or getting on a plane or something. When we were little, she would like give us like a Benadryl to go to sleep. Right? Like,
Oh.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not
Okay.
that bad.
It's not like what it sounded like.
No, it's not what it sounded
Yeah.
like. She'd give a little Benadryl, like half a Benadryl, and knock us the fuck out on road trips.
I guess that's better than giving you like a shot of whiskey,
Yeah,
which
much
I've
better.
heard some parents do.
Yeah, that's like an old remedy for
Yeah.
old school remedy for like colic. I think is like whiskey and or bourbon. You like put it in the child's mouth, and what it is that it numbs that pain that they're having. But no, you should not do that to your
Yeah.
baby.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Modern medicine and all that, we should be using those things. So anyway, this girl is not going to talk to her mother. She's going to find her sister to apologize. And she has like created all these delusions in her head. She won't let anybody speak any sense to her at all. Kay has pretty much given up on trying to speak sense to Simone. You can tell she's just like, okay, I hope things work out for you. Like, that's what she just keeps saying to her. Is like, I hope it all works out.
Yeah, because Kay knows the truth. She knows that her sister is with Chad.
Yeah, and now Kay is like concerned about Simone actually truly hurting Whitney, right? So that's why she's not saying anything about it anymore. She was kind of stirring up, I don't want to say stirring up. She had told her the truth. What happened was she had tried to fix what she had created, because we're in this situation because of Kay. We're actually in this situation because of Kay. Kay created a situation where Simone believed that Chad was into her when he was not, and Kay knew that Chad was not into her. And she kept Chad and Whitney apart on purpose and kept Simone from seeing them together on purpose for a very long time. And now she tried to fix that by telling Simone the truth. But when she told Simone the truth, Simone flew off the handle. Instead of flying off the handle, she flew off the handle. And I'm sorry, I'm doing a lot of Wicked references today. I hope you're happy.
Still haven't seen it yet,
I still haven't seen the movie. I still have not seen the movie. But
I haven't
anyway,
either. Don't feel bad.
I'm probably gonna go see it this weekend. But anyway, and I'm wearing my green. So she did this. Once she told Simone the truth, she was shocked by the amount of anger that Simone had honestly, rightfully so when you think about it. Simone was under the impression that she and Chad were in a relationship. Yes, she's delusional. Yes, we all agreed that she had no reason to truly believe that, but that is what she believed. So when she was presented with the truth, it made her go nuts, and she was talking about killing her sister. And so then Kay had to dial that back, right? She had to run that back.
Yeah.
And go, no, I'm sure I was wrong about that. So now Kay's
Mhm.
so we can't absolve Kay. Kay created this situation, unfortunately, because I like Kay, I do, but she did create this situation if we really think about it.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna
Yeah.
talk. I'm gonna talk cash money shit about Simone for the next like 3 months, right? Like I am, but I wanna put it on record right now that
Okay.
Simone didn't do this by herself. Kay did it to her. And
Yeah.
then Simone just refused to come up out of the motherfucking delusion. But
No.
I digress. I'm sorry, I've been talking a lot. Y'all got anything to add?
Oh no, you keep going. You keep going. You're good. You know I'll interject when I can.
All right.
Same, nothing.
All right. So, yeah, she talks about how her jealousy got the best of her, but she doesn't have to worry about that anymore. She has nothing to worry about. And then she goes off looking for Chad and says that Chad's going to have to help her find Whitney. It's like, girl, you know
Yeah.
where there's one, there's the other. That's why you look for Chad.
But she doesn't know. She doesn't know.
She
so.
does know on some level.
But it was weird how
knows.
it's weird how she connected the dots and stuff. She was like, yeah, because of the execution, and Chad is probably with Ethan, and then Whitney's probably with, like, she's putting all these people together. And then that's where she's like, oh yeah, so let me go find Chad.
At one point, she literally says, oh my gosh, Chad was close to Teresa because of Ethan. So Chad and I together have to help Whitney get over Teresa. What are you talking about?
That
What
is
are
some
you actually
Ethan
talking
Crane
about?
logic.
Yeah,
Even great logic.
it is. What are you actually talking about? That doesn't make any sense. So she goes to the studio and she can hear the music inside, and she's like, I have to, knock. She knocks on the door. She's like, sounds like Chad's inside. Now, we watched this on a watch party, and
Yes, we did.
I think it was Taylor who said, Chad's inside, all right. And yes. Oh my God. So shout out Taylor. Taylor Harris Crane. Because that was hilarious. Chad's inside.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
He's inside already.
I was surprised that she heard the music because I thought that was just the music that soap operas do when couples are doing it. And then when Simone heard it, I was like, oh, I guess they're really playing it. I don't know why it surprised me, but
yeah, it was music.
I actually liked the
studio.
song too. I gotta look it up because it was sweet.
I have to remember what the lyrics. I'll have to look it back up and listen to the lyrics again. I remember the lyrics being extremely like just Chad and Whitney's story. Like you're trying to deny our love, but we belong together. But I know this is hard for you. Your sister Simone. Like it's like the lyrics.
I mean, it doesn't say your sister Simone, but I don't know.
didn't,
It gave me some '90s R&B feel, and I was like, I can get with this.
Yeah,
I like it.
The lyrics were very specific, but yeah,
That should be what's added to the soundboard for Chad and Whitney. Clip of that song.
I have to look into it. I have to find it. That they had another one that they danced to and that I used to sing all the time. Too hard. That one. I also there's a montage of Miguel. This is we're going back right now. Miguel and Charity at one point, and the music for that I thought should be cross my heart, hope to die. I will never tell you lies. But it wasn't. I went to like my little private stash and found the right episode, and I can't remember what the song was, but it wasn't cross my heart, and I was really hoping it would be.
Oh.
I know. So anyway, this girl, she's knocking on the door. She hears the music. Sounds like Chad's inside. Chad's inside, all right. And then, she tries to go inside, but the door is locked. And she's like, good thing I know where the spare key is. Why do you know that? Well, why do you know that?
Not only that, like, why are you entering a door that, like, it's locked? People lock their doors for a reason. If you can't hear it, like maybe they want to be alone. Maybe he's recording.
Yeah, that's a good point. He could be recording and you coming in could ruin it, right? Could ruin the tape. But also I do understand her being like, this is my boyfriend, I'm coming in, right? Like she thinks he's her boyfriend. If I put myself in Simone's shoes, she is delusional and believes that Chad is her boyfriend. So she's gonna let herself into his studio, right? Like, I know where the spare key is. And maybe she thinks she's the girlfriend because she knows where the spare key is, right? So she goes, she gets the spare key. Meanwhile, inside, Chad and Whitney are still making love, and then they stop and have a conversation where they share about their feelings and how wonderful this all is. They're so happy to be together. Whitney says that she feels safe and she feels content with him and in his arms. And she says, I don't know if I could have gotten through tonight without you. Losing my best friend and seeing Teresa executed was the worst experience of my life, but it made me realize that I couldn't risk losing you too. I need you. I need your love so much. I like what she's saying, but her actions tell us something very different. What do you mean you can't risk losing him and then you're not going to tell your sister that you're with him? Right? Like, what, he's gonna be your secret lover for eternity, you know? I don't know.
Secret lovers.
I was gonna sing it.
That's what we are.
So she talks about her trying to deny her feelings for him for so long because of her sister, and then they just kind of talk about the Simone situation and how it happened and everything. And that's when Simone announces herself before she comes in. She like knocks. She's like, Chad, hello, I'm here.
But before that, she pulls down her little blousey blouse and starts strutting in.
Yeah, and she's like gonna show a little shoulder. Gotta show him a little something. She comes in, she announces herself. It gives Whitney enough time to hide in like a back room, right? So she runs to the back room, and Simone comes in. He's only in his boxers, and she's like, what's going on here? And then she answers her own question. She's like, oh, I know, you're just working, right? And he's like, yeah, I like to be, comfortable when I work. Let me put on some
It's that Ethan logic. She asked the question, then she answered it. It was like, oh, wait, I know.
Yeah, no, she does that so much. It is maddening. She does it so much. So Chad's like, I need to go put on some clothes. He heads back to put on some clothes, and he tells Whitney, like, I got to tell your sister. And she's like, no, can't. You can't do that. It'll destroy her. It's going to destroy. The longer this takes, the worse it's going to be. I don't know why Whitney doesn't see that. When Whitney was saying that shit to Teresa for years, Whitney said that to Teresa over and over again. The longer you hold this secret, the worse it's going to be when it comes out. So she knows better. And I think that's why I'm so frustrated with Whitney too, is because she's being a real hypocrite about this.
Yeah.
I know she
and now would be the perfect time, because she's not in the hospital, she's not having some sort of illness. Like, there's none of those tropes of like, oh, you can't tell them because so and so. No, she's healthy, she's walking around. And if anything, you're the one that needs to be comforted because you just lost your best friend.
Yeah, you got an out right now. You actually have an out for the first time, right? Like, so, and like there was also one time where he couldn't tell her because there was too many people. They were in public. It's like, we're in private now, right? But no, Whitney's a coward when it comes to this. She is. She's being a real coward about this, and in my opinion, she should have stuck to one or the other, right? Either you're not going to be with Chad anymore, and that's what it is, and you're just going to take that sacrifice and take that L, or you're going to be with Chad and you're going to be honest with your sister about it, right? Agreed. But this in-between place is honestly, it's kind of evil. It's honestly kind of evil. I think it is a nasty way to treat your sister. It's nastier. This is nastier than having your sister think that you stole her boyfriend, because you didn't steal her boyfriend, and you know you didn't steal her boyfriend, but you are sleeping with the man she thinks is her boyfriend and hiding it from her, and y'all are like in love, and you're watching her make a complete and utter fool of herself every time y'all are together. A complete
Yeah.
fool of herself. You're letting. Oh, this is nasty work. It's
And
nasty.
you're letting Chad not tell her. And he is the one that should be setting it straight, because I think she would receive it better if it came from him. Like, it shouldn't be Whitney that says it. It should definitely be Chad.
I agree 100%. Chad is the one who needs to be telling Simone. He, frankly, he should have told Simone, even if he wasn't going to tell Simone that he's not with, or even if he wasn't going to tell Simone that he's with Whitney, he should have told Simone a long time ago that they were not together. Right? He should have set that straight a very long time ago and been like, I am not your boyfriend. I don't know where you got that. You know, I don't want to hurt you. You are a good friend to me. He should have done that portion of it a long time ago. We would not actually be in this situation if he had just done that. But he hadn't done that.
Because he's also said, or even proven, that if it wasn't Whitney, it's no one.
It's no
So it's
one.
not like Simone's the backup plan. Like, when he thought he was gonna lose Whitney and everything before he got the recording studio, he was gonna leave town.
Yep.
No thought of Simone.
Yep. So he does try, not well enough in my opinion, to set her straight at one point. Like, because he goes tells Whitney tells him, no, don't do that. He comes back out to talk to Simone, and Simone's like trying to throw herself at him. She like thrusts herself upon him, starts kissing him. Is like, I know you're just trying to wait till I turn 18. At no point has this man said that, right? You just decided.
I mean, it's smart, because until she's 18, that's called statutory rape.
Well, as long as they don't do it, they're fine. But
But that's what she's trying to do with him right
that's
now.
true. Yeah, you're right.
She is trying to sleep with him, and she's, talking for him. Is like, oh, I know, it's because I'm not 18 yet. Yeah, because I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah, and he does try to tell her, but she keeps cutting him off. I know you just are doing this because you don't want my parents to find out. I know you're just wait until I turn 18. And then she says, I don't want to wait anymore. I want you, Chad. And then that's when she like kisses him, and he like pushes her. He pushes her off of him. I mean,
Yeah.
girl, me personally, the way my self-esteem is set up, I wouldn't have been able to handle this, right? Like, if I'm throwing myself at you and you do not accept, I'm about to burn this motherfucker down. Like, I can't handle it.
But the rest of us, we would have a clue. When we got pushed away, we would have a clue, and she doesn't.
No. I mean, she didn't get the clue when he left the room and put clothes on.
Right?
Like,
yes, when he comes back, she's so disappointed. She's like, oh, you got dressed? He's like, yeah, I told you I was going to get dressed.
Like, if you go to your man's house and he's like in a towel and then leaves and comes back with clothes, you're like, yeah, you're not getting it in today.
You will get nothing. You get nothing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, she's so thirsty for him. God, she's so thirsty for him. She keeps throwing herself at him. He keeps pushing her away from him. He keeps telling her, like, no, I need to work. You need to leave. And so they do this back and forth for a little while until Simone is like, well, she grabs a blanket, folds it up like a sex blanket, like a blanket they were just having sex. That blanket would have smelled like ass, right? Like, it would be sweaty and filthy. And she grabs the blanket, she folds it up. She's like, well, I'm going to put this away before I go. And, because at one point when he went in to talk to Whitney and put his clothes back on, she like cleaned up around the place. It's like, yeah. The place is a mess because they've been having hot ass sex all over this place. You don't smell it?
I mean, she is a naive and novice, never had sex before. She might not know what it smells like.
She just thinks that's what the studio smells like. I guess they were burning candles. Maybe they were really nicely scented. Maybe it was like, covered up the smell.
Lord knows that there was enough, because the show's candle budget is out the roof.
Outrageous. Outrageous. The money they spend on candles. Like, you would think that they were like Elizabethan royalty. The money they spend on candles. It's ridiculous.
And rose petals. Everywhere you turn, there's always rose petals at the edge of bathtubs and everywhere.
And we'll see even more candles in the Crane Mansion.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. And I guess they're like it's like vigil for Teresa, because we do know that Pilar lights candles, you know, for her fallen loved ones. But um but yeah, the candle budget is off the charts for this show. I would love to have seen what that was like. But yeah, she had cleaned up when he went to change clothes. She says, "Oh yeah, I cleaned up." He was like, "You didn't have to pick up in here. You didn't have to clean up." And she was like, "I like doing things for you, Chad." And I do feel bad for Simone. I do, cuz it's just so embarrassing.
Hmm.
It's just so embarrassing. Like
Yeah.
this man knows, and your sister knows, and like literally like the whole town, like Jessica's about to find out, right? Like everybody knows that he does not want you, everybody but you. Oh my god, when I
Even
found out, I would be
her
missing.
parents,
Yeah,
because they gave Chad and Whitney their blessing.
yeah, and she thinks that she's been like hiding her relationship from them. Meanwhile, they are like, no, we're on Team Chad and Whitney. Oh God. So, it's just so embarrassing. Oh, I'm sick to my
Yeah.
stomach just thinking about something like this happening to me. Oh, but it could never happen to me because my self-esteem is too high. So
Yeah.
I worked, but you know what? My self-esteem was not this high when I was her age, 16, 17, right?
But I'm sure
And-
you would have been able to catch a clue a lot sooner.
Yeah, I mean, I have always been the type to assume that nobody likes me, right? Like, no, it's true. I've always just assumed. I had a guy one time. He had asked me out like a couple of times, and I didn't even realize it because I didn't realize what he was asking. Like and it took me weeks later. He was like, "Yeah, I asked you out like a couple of times," and I was like, "Oh, did you?" I was like,
Wow.
because I truly have. I just was the type that was like, no, I don't think anybody likes me or isn't interested in me in that like way. It wasn't like a sad thing. I just didn't look like the other girls, so I just never felt like anybody would ever be interested in me. So anyway, oh, I know. I wish I don't have an all button, but maybe I need.
If you want a sedative or something to quiet your nerves.
That'll make me feel better. Thanks,
Yeah, you
Doc. So yeah, Simone, she's delusional. She folds up this sex blanket, is gonna put it in the back room. She gets back there. She's like, "Oh my God." I don't know what she said, "Oh my God," about. What did she say, "Oh my God," about? Do y'all know? Did you
The
catch
way that the studio looked, or the room, whatever it was back there, she's like, "It looks so great. I can't believe you did this," because I guess he built it all.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, why is she? But anyway, he's like, he thinks that he's caught. Like she sees Whitney back there, but no, Whitney is nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be found. She puts the blanket away. They go back out, and then Chad goes back and he's like, where did Whitney go? And he realizes the window's open. This girl has stepped out onto the ledge of the window, and she's like standing out on the ledge of this building. They make it seem like the building is like really tall. I was under the impression, and I know I did not like Mandela affect myself on this. That studio is like on the ground floor, because we saw them walk in when they first got the keys to the studio. They go into the studio. It was Chad, Whitney, Teresa, and Ethan. They go to the studio. They walk right in and right up to the door. Like it wasn't like they got off in the elevator, nothing. So I know they've changed this, and I know it's just a small thing. I was just like, it made me laugh to think that Whitney's like standing on the ledge of the first story, like of the first floor.
Maybe it's a recording studio with multiple levels, and he's on the second floor level.
Maybe. I think they just changed it to make it dramatic, because then Jessica comes running in to that first room, and she's like, "I'm looking for Chad. There's a lady on the ledge outside your window." We get a new Jessica who looks like Beth.
But wait, yeah, I was gonna say, it's like, today the role of Jessica Bennett is being played by Michelle Holgate.
Yeah, and she had Beth's haircut, and
She looked like Beth.
Right before they said that, I was like, "Why is Beth here?" I was like, I truly, for a second, I thought she was Beth, because of the resolution on the the YouTube channel. It's like hard to necessarily always make out who's who, and she was shaped like Beth, and she had Beth's hair. I was like, "What's Beth doing here?" And Beth's a wacko who Why wouldn't?
It would be really weird for her to be in this storyline.
You know what? It would be weird, but I've seen weirder things on this show. Much weirder things. But no, it was Jessica, and Jessica's running in frantically saying that there's a woman on the ledge, and Chad's like, no, surely not. Tries to keep them from going into the room because now he's brought Whitney back in.
Yeah.
Then Jessica, God,
Not before almost falling. Not before almost falling.
Oh my God.
She was able to get up there just fine on her own. She can't get off.
Yeah, when she tries to come back in, she almost falls. She has like hang on to like this gargoyle or something on the building. And then he grabs her and pulls her back in and whatever. He again wants to tell Simone, and she's like, no, it'll destroy my sister. They have that conversation a million fucking times. And I am sick of Whitney being so cowardly about this. I'm sick of it. Do you love him or do you not? Do you want to be with him or do you not? Make a choice and stand on it and be firm. I know that's your sister. You love her and you don't want to upset her, but she's going to be upset. There's no way around it. She's going to be, either you're not going to be with Chad or Simone's going to be upset. Those are your choices. Oh, she's so annoying. So anyway.
And at the end of the day, it's not like she's keeping Simone and Chad apart because Chad is still not going to choose her even if Whitney breaks up with him.
Chad does not want that girl. Chad doesn't want her. He wants Whitney. He loves Whitney.
And it's either Whitney or nobody.
Yeah.
There's no backup.
And she just, I don't know. Whitney frustrates me on this. And I do agree that it's Chad's place to tell Simone, but I also understand that he doesn't want to betray Whitney's trust. And his relationship with Whitney is so tenuous, right? Like she runs so hot and cold with him that it's not outside the realm of reality or realm of possibility that if he did tell Simone the truth, that she would cut him off, right? And he definitely doesn't want that to happen. So he's stuck between a rock and a hard place for sure. And those rocks, that rock and that hard place is named Simone and Whitney. So Jessica Bennett, she shows up to just sow chaos. She's a chaos agent. She comes in, rushing in. She's like, there was a woman. I know it was a woman out on the ledge. And so she comes into the room. Whitney hides in a closet, so we don't see Whitney. Then Jessica's like, no, we need to search the room because the window's open. Maybe she already got in.
Okay. From the second floor?
So they search the room, and Jessica finds Whitney in the closet. And Simone says, do you see her? Have you found her? And it was crazy because Jessica is staring Whitney in the eyes. And Jessica's like, no, I don't see anything. So she covers. She covers for Whitney, right? Good for her. Good for Jessica for covering.
But what does Jessica know to want to cover for her?
Well, it's just clear that they're hiding.
I think it's because her sister too.
Yeah,
I know, but that just feels weird. Like, why? I don't know. It just feels weird that Jessica, who's not really in this storyline, all of a sudden feels that she needs to cover for Whitney. Like, who's Whitney to you, and why not just be like, oh, it's Whitney?
I believe, this is what I choose to believe, based on just a little bit of information, because we never see Jessica really. I believe that everybody knows that Whitney and Chad are basically together. Everybody does know that Chad loves Whitney. Everybody knows that. Everybody but Simone. Truly, absolutely everybody knows that. They've all had conversations around it. They've all talked about it. So I think Jessica, who is a smart character, I think she just figured out what was going on. And she knows it's not really her place to blow this all up. And I also think Jessica's smart and doesn't want to be involved. I think she doesn't want any parts of it, which I can completely understand. Sense. You know, she's
because I honestly can see like this being a Kay thing, like Kay showing up and covering. But I guess since Kay is involved in her own storyline, they couldn't use this, and they decided, let's just use Jessica.
Let's just use Jessica. Yeah, because Kay, I feel like Kay showing up changes everything. Because if Kay shows up, her loyalty, Jessica is neutral, right? When it comes to Simone and Whitney. But Kay's loyalty, ostensibly, should be to Simone. So if Kay showed up, and I think Kay likely would have blown the whole thing up. right?
No,
Well,
I
Yeah.
don't
you know
think
what?
she
You're
would
right.
have.
She wouldn't have. You're right. She wouldn't have.
She would have continued to protect her friend's feelings.
Yeah, it would have made sense for her to blow it up, but she wouldn't do it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
she doesn't usually make the right choice.
Yeah, as opposed to Jessica, who has no stake, doesn't like it. Don't make sense why she would keep this, because also Jessica's not known to lie or anything.
That's true. Jessica's more like the tell the truth and do the right thing of all the kids.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think what I have chosen to believe about this is that she doesn't want to be involved, and that she um yeah, that she doesn't want to be involved, and that she doesn't feel like it's her place to blow this all up, right? Like Whitney needs to deal with her own sister. So I think that's why she did it. I don't know. And Jessica's like, Jessica's nice. I think she also doesn't want the drama.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
she doesn't
I
care
don't
for
know. I think the writers just got lazy with this one, because
You
it
do?
to me it just kind of because it makes no sense for one Jessica, and two to cover.
I
Like
think
that's not in her character to cover for anyone.
I think they just wanted to make like a little bit of drama, a little bit of us having tension. They wanted to make some tension in this scene, even though there was tons of tension. There was plenty. This was
Yeah.
unnecessary. This is wholly Jessica showing up was wholly and completely unnecessary. They just wanted to pay that girl for the day. Like they wanted
Maybe.
to use her for something. They said, "We had you on the call sheet. We didn't even write a scene for you. My bad, girl. Here, how about you just come in and discover with me?"
Which unfortunately becomes a pattern for the characters of Jessica, and unfortunately in later years Simone as well.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't give them anything. They don't.
No.
Yeah. So, Jessica covers for them, and basically this whole thing kind of fizzles. Chad does tell Jessica on to the side that he does want to tell Simone the truth, and Jessica actually stops him, and it, like you said, is like covering for Whitney, and it's like, you are they're sisters. Are you sure you really want to do that? Well, somebody's got to do it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it at some point. So, Whitney and Simone, at one point, I'm sorry, Simone and Jessica leave or whatever, and they do not get out of this building before Simone realizes she left her bag and she needs to go back to get her bag. Jessica's like, "Oh, you can just get it tomorrow." That should have tipped Simone off immediately, right? Like, what do
Yeah,
you mean
because
I can
who
get it
leaves
tomorrow?
their bag?
Yeah. What do you mean I can get it tomorrow? I'm already here. Why would I go home without it and then come back tomorrow? And Simone's like, "No, I'm already here. I'm gonna go back. I have to get my bag. Like, my keys are in it. Like, how am I supposed to get into my house?" And so she goes back and she finds Whitney and Chad together because they have, he's holding her from behind. He's holding her when she walks in. And Simone just fully and completely deludes herself into believing what's going on is not going on. And she frustrates me. This girl frustrates me. Simone frustrates me. Yeah.
I'm sure she's going to come up with her own reason as to what's happening. Because, of course, he's comforting her.
Yes.
The minute she walks in, she goes, "What's going on here?" And Chad says, let me explain. I can explain. Simone says, "You don't have to. I know exactly what's going on here." Then she hugs Whitney and just starts ranting like a mad woman, right? She's just like, "Oh, Whitney, I know you've been through so much today, and I felt so bad. I know you must have come in. How'd you get in here without me seeing you? Oh, that's right. You must have come in the back way. Stupid me. I forgot there is a back way in here. Of course you came in that way, girl." The lies you tell yourself.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wow is the exact word for it.
Yeah.
Wow. She deludes herself into believing that she just missed. She's like, "Oh, Mom and Dad must have told you that I was looking for you, and then you came here because you knew that Chad's such a great boyfriend and that I would be with him." Oh my God.
Wow.
This girl. It's just embarrassing.
Yeah. And then they're letting her talk. No one's stopping it.
Well,
Dad tries, but then Whitney cuts him off.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Chad does try, and Whitney steps in front of him, between him and Simone, and tells her, oh yeah, I just love you so much. I needed to see you. Mm, okay, so that's basically it. Chad tells Jessica he wants to tell the truth. Jessica's like, nah, that you probably should let the sisters figure it out for themselves, which is I don't agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, at one point Simone says to Whitney, on Grandpa Russell's grave, I'll never let anything come between us ever again.
Why are we invoking that man?
I don't know. She loves him, I guess, but she didn't.
I guess.
She didn't even know him. She didn't even know that man.
Yeah.
That man died long before she was alive.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right, because he died of a broken heart because of TC.
Because TC
and that was before he even met Eve.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know why she would bring him up. She don't even know him.
I mean, she's in this Delulu land, so in her Delulu land, maybe he's alive.
This girl's manic. She's manic. She is. She's in mania, active mania. So that's all I have for them this week. Do y'all have anything to add before we move on?
Nope.
No, I'm just wondering how long we're gonna have this Jessica, because I don't think she's a replacement. I think she's just temporary.
Yeah. I think we're gonna go back to the other one, I think we might get a new one after her. There's so many Jessicas. I think there's as many Jessicas as there are K's. There's so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
So all right. Where are we going next? Should we go to? Did I say we're gonna go to Brian and them, or did I say we're gonna finish with Teresa?
Kind of, Shawise, because Teresa was worked in there a little bit.
Yeah, because Teresa's worked in there. Yep, perfect. So let's do the Shawise stuff. All right, actually.
Big time.
Boo to everything.
And that's exactly what the crowd is shouting at this racetrack.
Oh, y'all, this race was insane. This race was absolutely bonkers, crazy, bonkers bullshit. Like, okay. So, Brian, remember his car's on fire. This car is on fire.
I mean, he's literally roasting. There are flames at his feet. I want to know, why did you keep racing? Like,
pull
over.
He had to win. He had to pay off that debt. If he didn't win, that debt's not paid. Diana has to go be Nick's wife.
Shane, you
oh my God.
A perfect. I'm so glad you said that, because later first I want to say the car is on fire, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then it crashes and goes into a giant atomic bomb, like mushroom cloud, okay? This car is blown to smithereens, okay?
And I wanted that to be the end.
It should have been.
Yeah.
It should have been the end. Then
roll credits. Whoop.
Truly over. It's done. It's over. Nick won, but the fire it explodes into a fireball, and obviously Diana is devastated. She's like trying to run to the car, and Liz is holding her back. It's like, what are you gonna do over there? What are you gonna do, Diana?
Nothing.
She's annoying. Okay, so then the rescue crew pulls Brian out of the car, which it turns out he was already out of the car. He had managed to get out of the car before it exploded. Because I was like, how is he okay? Well, after what I saw, that was a huge fireball explosion. Huge.
Oh yeah. And at the watch party, you were like, wow, got blown up and not a scratch on him.
He had a trickle
before
of
we
blood.
Found out. Yeah, a trickle of blood.
He had a trickle of blood coming down the side of his
He must have bit his lip when he leaped from the window.
They smudged a few little cinders on him, and he had a trickle of blood. That was it. This man was fine. Nothing wrong with him outwardly, right? No. And so the rescue crews pull him out, place him down on the ground. I think you brought up, Maria, like, why didn't you just put him in the ambulance? And I was like, why put him on the ground?
The hot pavement of a racetrack.
Yeah. Yes. And it's not like they did anything. They just laid him down in front of Diana, where she's like crying and sobbing.
No one's working on him. No one's checking him over. No, let's just, put him on the floor.
They just put him down, and then they pick him back up and put him in the ambulance and tell Diana she can't ride with them.
Well, no, the paramedics do show up because remember at one point they're like, "Move!" And
No, that's what I'm saying.
during the
They
watch
show up
party, you were like, "Yes, she should move."
No, that's what I'm saying. They can't. They showed up. The EMTs show up. They put him
Yeah.
in the ambulance, but they tell Diana she can't ride in the ambulance. In the
Yeah.
ambulance, and she's very.
Can I just say that I love Nick's comment? He's like, "Look at my wife to be. She's a babe when she's crying."
Oh my God, yeah. I say,
What a creeper.
these guys, these goons, these fools. And I wonder, are we gonna see them again? Because apparently, I'm gonna just say it. Apparently, Brian won the race. I don't know how.
Yes.
I don't know
We
how.
find that
he
out, I
won.
think, at the hospital and stuff. So, yeah, I guess that's it.
I was like, what do you mean
That should be
he
it.
won the race? What do you mean he won the race? How could he possibly have won the race? The car exploded. Did it explode?
I guess it
over the-
exploded after the finish line.
Yeah, it showed him crossing it before it exploded.
It did.
While his like bottom half was burning.
Oh my God. What a fool.
Roasted.
Okay. He was roasted like a bird. So
Chestnuts roasting by an
on an
open fire.
Yeah. Open gasoline fire, yeah.
I know.
So, at the hospital, Sheridan, oh, this is great. Sheridan feels guilty, or Diana. Diana feels guilty, saying that, he wouldn't have been out there if it wasn't for her. And Liz is like, what do you want me to say? That you're not right? You're right. Correct. He wouldn't have been, this would not have happened if it weren't for you. But Liz very quickly is like, I'm sorry. I know that's not helping anything. But it's the truth. The truth is the truth.
Yeah.
And then Diana gets a vision of Luis dying in her arms. And she remembers his name is Luis. And she very excitedly tells Liz, I had a flash from my past. I remember that my love's name was Luis. And Liz says her, okay, but the only thing I can care about or think about right now is Brian, rightfully, understandably. so.
Exactly.
But then Liz has a moment where she's like, wait a minute, Luis, wasn't that Brian's brother's name? No, that's too close. That can't be. Can it? So, yeah, girl, it can.
It can.
It can, and it is. So, Liz.
I remember she met Luis because he stayed at the B&B and he was Mr. Room number 9 or something.
Mr. 9, yep. So Liz is annoyed that Brian is fighting for his life because of Diana, and all she can think about is some guy named Luis. And she's like, she hates her. She hates her. I wish she would stop acting like she doesn't. And then Liz thinks about the brother and all of that. Then the doctor comes out to give them updates, and he's like, I think you two should sit down. Uh-oh, that's bad news. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
He updates them about Brian's condition, saying that the longer he stays unconscious, the greater the chances that he won't wake up. So he's like in a coma, basically. The shortest coma of all time. This man wakes up very immediately.
He took a nap. He
Yeah.
just took a nap.
Truly, it's the same as like that coma that Sheridan was in at the very, very, very beginning. Remember, she was just like in a deep sleep. She just after that car accident. So yeah, Diana and Liz go in to see Brian, and Diana's like overcome with emotions, and she's getting more and more flashbacks of her past, and holding Luis's dead body, she passes out, like she faints. She later comes to, and the doctor asks her like, what's going on? Somebody mentioned something about amnesia, so she explains that to him, and he tells her that oftentimes once you start getting a lot of your memories back, everything floods back all at once. So it's possible. So Diana now is like very hopeful that she might get her memory back and remember who she is. And then they go in, Diana and Liz go back in, and Brian is awake. He's like, he's fine. And I wrote, and he apparently won the race too. I missed that entirely. But how ridiculous is that? So he's telling them, oh, now we're free. I won the race, and I can take you home to meet my mama. I can't wait for you to meet Teresa. She's got the most beautiful laugh. And I mean, just reiterating to us, the audience, that he has no clue what's going on in Harmony. And so the doctors tell him that his tests, they run some tests, and that his tests came back fine, but they're going to run them again just in case to make sure. So he and Brian are like happy. They're excited. They're off to start their new life. Antonio is like, I need to call my mama. Yes, you do. Yeah, maybe you called her years ago.
Been needing to call your mama. But you know what I find interesting?
What?
Diana hasn't mentioned that she's starting to remember things.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to give her a pass on this. And she shouldn't, because she shouldn't be mentioning that to him at this moment.
True.
The man almost died because of her.
Yeah.
Almost died because of her. And she knows it makes him uncomfortable. She knows that, that hurts his feelings. And they just got engaged. Yeah, no, not the time. For once, she's reading the room and reading it correctly. Yeah, for once, she's reading the room correctly. And so, but you are right to note that she does not say anything about it. And
she doesn't say anything.
Yeah, and she's keeping that little.
And neither does Liz at least ask, like, hey, what's your brother's name again?
Mm-hmm. No, she doesn't, but she should. I think that, yeah. Because especially since they start talking about his family, so it would have been the perfect time. And so he says he wants to call his mama. And so he calls her, tells her that he's coming home soon, and tells her that he's engaged. We're going to talk more about this phone call in like the Teresa stuff, because it's like hooked up with Luis, because there's a lot of Luis commentary on the other end of this phone call.
Yep.
But it is clear. It becomes very clear that he does not know at all what's going on with Teresa.
Yeah.
Luis, everybody in Harmony seems to think that he should know what's going on with her, but he does not.
And he should actually know what's going on with her, because the whole world knows.
Yeah, everybody but him.
Even Julian found out, which is why he was able to come back to Harmony. So how did it not reach Bermuda?
Yeah, I agree. Even Julian.
Like, was it just that one newspaper that she spilled coffee on? Like, that's it?
And they're in the States now. They're not even in Bermuda anymore. They are back in the U.S. Like, they made that clear like last week or the week before or something, that this race was in the U.S. So, yeah, this is big news in America, right? So, anyway, he calls his mama, tells her he's engaged, that he's coming home soon. And then Brian has a conversation with the doctor. The doctor comes in and tells Brian, like, I need to speak to you alone. And they send Diana out of the room. She thinks it might be bad news, but then she talks herself out of it by being like, oh, it must be for doctor-client privilege or something like that. Confidentiality.
Doctor-patient.
Yeah, client-patient. What's the difference?
Doctor-patient.
Confidentiality, whatever. And she's like, okay, sure, of course I have to go. Which that's not the case. If the patient says that they can stay, they can stay. Yeah. All you have to do is be like, I consent. You can talk in front of us. Yeah. But anyway, she goes out of the room, so she does not hear the bad news about Brian's diagnosis. I can't even call it a diagnosis. They don't tell us what's wrong with him.
I was gonna say, it's like they never said what was wrong with him, just that if you don't get it looked at, you're gonna die, and it could be tomorrow.
Yes.
What is it? Is it a tumor? Is it like,
yeah, and was it from this race, or like you said, is it something that's been there? Like, is he in stage 4 cancer and doesn't know it? Right? Like, what is it? They do not explain it to us. And do y'all remember? I just remember him having a mysterious illness that they could not figure out. Is that what it actually is?
I don't remember. I do remember him going blind.
Me too.
And I don't know if it's because of this illness or not.
I remember him going blind, and I remember him going back to Harmony, and like it was like a mystery. Like Eve couldn't figure it out, right? They had their best and brightest mind on it, and she couldn't get it done. All she could offer was
You want a sedative or something to quiet your nerves?
So anyway, the doctor tells him that his results are bad from that test, and he might die, and he needs to stay at the hospital. Brian refuses. He's like, I haven't been home in years. I have to go home.
All of a sudden you care.
Exactly. All of a sudden, it's like so urgent for you to go home. But
it's because he wants to show off his new girlfriend to his mommy. He's like, look.
Yep, you are absolutely right. He wants to show off Diana, and that's all this is about. And
Mhm.
so he's like, "Hey, if I promise to see a doctor as soon as I get back to Harmony, will you let me leave or whatever?" And this terrible doctor is like, "Yeah, I guess you just got to make sure you go home and see a doctor, right?"
How about give him a referral? You guys have access to networks. You can just say, okay, look, I found a doctor in Harmony. Go make an appointment.
Also, like, if it's that bad, like, you're an ER doctor, right? If it's that bad, shouldn't you be referring him to some sort of specialist anyway? Right?
Mhm.
He has some kind of illness that you seem to have pinpointed. Now is the time for you to hand him over to a specialist, right? But these doctors, I would not want any of these doctors coming anywhere near me. Death. They are death incarnate. And so Brian's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go home." I wrote that he's weirdly anxious to get home, because he is. After all these years, now all of a sudden it's like a huge priority that he go home, and he doesn't
Gotta
even
show
know
off the
what's going
girlfriend.
on. I could see if he knew what was going on, and I would be like, "Yeah, sure," but he doesn't even know what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this would have been a perfect opportunity for Pilar to say, you have to come home, and it's Teresa. She's been executed. And he would have been like, I'm out. Gotta go. That's my kid's sister.
Could not understand for the life of me why Pilar did not say to him when he brought up Teresa, because he brings up Teresa in their phone call. He says, I want Diana to meet everybody. Is Teresa around? I want to talk to her. I'd love to hear her laugh, right?
Yeah, her giggles, yeah.
Pilar doesn't tell. It becomes very evident he doesn't know what the fuck's going on. And it is at that moment that she should have been like, "You don't know." At the very least, she should have been like, "You don't know."
Yeah, and we'll get to that when we go back to because, like, how are you then telling Luis, well, maybe he doesn't know? Clearly he doesn't know.
Clearly he doesn't know. Yeah. And she doesn't say that to Luis, but we'll get there more. So actually, let's talk about Luis.
I don't remember what plot point this was for him to find out once he got to Harmony. I mean, it has to happen because I don't understand why Passion went this route.
I think what it is that they want for Luis to look like the bad guy, right? Once Antonio comes in, because Antonio's the bad guy, right? Like right now, it seems like Antonio has, like, cast off his family. He doesn't care about what's going on with them. And Luis, I think it's to force Luis to feel bad about his brother and how he has thought about his brother when he realizes that his brother is with Sheridan, right? It adds another layer of, like, guilt.
Okay.
Right? I think it just, like, adds another layer of guilt onto Luis, who should be in the right and feels like he's in the right. But once he learns the information that my brother was in a almost life-ending accident, he's sick, and on top of that, he had no clue what was going on here, and I talked about him like a fucking dog.
Yeah.
He's gonna feel bad about that, right? I think that's all that's for. I think that's what that plot device is.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I can see it.
So let's talk about my baby Luis. Luis is in no position to be in a relationship with any goddamn body, and yet
Oh wait, before we get to Luis, we need to finish wrapping up to talk about Liz and how Liz now seems to be plotting to get Brian.
Oh yeah, Liz does seem that she's starting to plot a little bit. She's like, I'm thinking how she could use this information about Luis to basically get Brian back. Yeah.
I do remember. I put it in my notes, and I'm like, oh well, this is a turn, because she was very accepting of the relationship. She didn't like it, but she accepted it. But now she's like, well, maybe now.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
I don't know if she was very accepting. I think she just had to accept it because it was clear that Brian, he had made his choice. But if Diana's not in the picture, she's using that K logic, right? If Diana's not in the picture, then maybe he'll choose me, maybe he won't, but likely he will, right? Like it's what Beth did, right? Well, it's not exactly what Beth did, but once Sheridan wasn't in the picture, it's like, what choice does he have? I'm here.
And it would explain why she constantly is hanging around, because she's looking for her way in.
Liz, you're a beautiful woman with assets. Take your ass back to that island.
Girl has a plane, has a hotel. Go back to paradise.
Assets. I'm talking about go back to paradise and maybe, find you a nice man on the island. Brian is not a
Doc.
nice man. Mm,
Brian is a red flag. Just know.
Oh, he's a walking red flag. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a giant, huge, massive red flag. He's a red flag under a red parachute, like falling from a red plane, right? Like he's horrible, but she loves him. She loved that man for some reason.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
anyway,
they did have a past together, so just like with Beth.
they have a past, and I feel the same way about Brian as I do about Ethan, which is that he is the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that. I think that Liz can do way better than him, and I even think Diana can do way better than him, right?
But Brian is never giving her any signs that there could be anything. And in fact, they had broken up. They weren't even together.
Yeah, but
when Diana showed up,
that it's not a 1-to-1 comparison for sure. But I think the part of the comparison that I am making is that Liz, much like Gwen and Teresa, is too good for Brian, right?
Mhm.
Like,
oh yeah,
Liz and Diana are both too good for Brian.
yeah,
But yeah, no, he definitely has not led her own. I don't think he's used her.
Oh,
her.
that's
I think
true.
He's used her a lot, and he's taken. You know what? Actually, he's taken advantage of the fact that he knows that she loves him and cares about him. He's absolutely taken advantage.
Which
of
makes
her.
him even a worse asshole.
Yeah, he's worse than Ethan. He
Yeah.
is worse than Ethan. I can absolutely say that.
Yeah.
All right, so
Anyway. To Luis.
let's talk about Louise and Beth and Edna. We pick up and Edna is tormenting Beth as she does. That's what she does, Oh, Bethy, you'll never be as beautiful as Sheridan Crane. Louise, he's gonna come to his senses, like over and over and over again. And she tells her that Louise and Sheridan had like a great love, and he's gonna dump her just like he did the last time.
Mhm.
And then Beth, bless her little heart, Beth starts to kind of trying to soothe herself almost by like kind of rocking back and forth. She's like, Sheridan is dead. Sheridan is dead. Sheridan is dead. She just like repeats that over and over again. Sheridan is dead. Oh, I feel bad. I feel bad for Beth. I have sympathy for her. I do. I have more sympathy for her than I did growing up. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see
Having a mother like that, yeah.
because I had a loving mom.
Evoking dead people to break them up. Like, how sinister can you be?
And I think coming up, I didn't even consider like how heinous it is for a mother to be that nasty and toxic to their own child. But now as an adult looking back on it, I'm trying to think about if my own mother treated me like that, like how would I have grown up? What kind of person would I be? Right. And I think as a kid, I didn't even consider that. I didn't think about it. I was like, yeah,
no,
Edna's mean to Beth. But and I also think I felt like Edna's mean to Beth, but Beth is mean to Edna too. But Edna started it, and she started it with Beth when Beth was a baby. Beth has been dealing with this abusive woman since she was a child, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I think back then it was very easy for me to be like, yeah, they're mean to each other. No, one is way worse than the other, and it's Edna.
Yep.
Edna.
Yep.
She's
sorry,
evil.
Eric.
Sorry, Eric. I think even Eric would be like, no, she's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I seen that now because when I was younger watching it, I was kind of more on Edna's side. I was like, Beth is terrible, and her poor mom is just trying to stop her from being the terrible person that she can be. And then I had a soft spot for her mom because she's Kathleen Noon from Sunset Beach and played Beth on Sunset Beach.
Yeah, I think I get that. I agree. I tend to agree that I kind of felt a little bit bad for Edna. And now I'm looking at her, I'm like, that lady is lucky to be getting meals. Because if it were me, you are lucky you are in my home. That's all I'm going to say about that. So Luis is like out on a little walk, and he finds himself reminiscing about Sheridan, and this is, correct me because sometimes I start to run weeks together. He has already proposed to Beth, right? Last week or week before?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes. There's even a point where Mrs. Wallace, when Beth is talking to her, she was like, "You're never gonna walk down the aisle with Mr. Tall, Dark, and Handsome."
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So Louise is like walking around reminiscing about Sheridan. This man is not ready to marry anybody. He's simply not ready to marry anybody. He's not ready to be in a relationship with anybody. He finds himself at Sheridan's cottage of all places. And when later on Beth says something that I was like, yes, 100% agree. But he finds himself at Beth's cottage and he's thinking about all the good times he had there with Sheridan. And then Ethan comes outside. He finds Ethan. He thinks that Sheridan's going to come out of the cottage. Like I said, this man is not ready.
Because he's thinking about her, right? And the door opens and he's like,
yeah, he still is clinging to a little bit of hope that Sheridan is still alive. If he wasn't, he never would have thought Sheridan was coming through that door, right? But the door opens and he's like, Sheridan? But no, it's Ethan.
I mean, she's come back from the dead before. No, you know, Christmas miracles. So why not have hope? They never found a body.
I agree with you. Though they did find a body. They identified that body as a body as Sheridan's.
Yes.
You're right. Alistair did do that. Yeah.
They did identify a body as Sheridan's. It was mangled beyond recognition, so nobody knew who it really was, but they used like dental records or some shit. Yeah. Anyway, and it was fake, obviously, because Sheridan lied. Yeah. So Ethan comes out, they have a conversation about Teresa, obviously, you know, and how Ethan is like struggling to accept the fact that she's dead, as is Louise. They're both struggling to accept what has just happened. Yeah. And then Louise tells Ethan, he's like, you know, I hope you don't think this is crazy, but I proposed to Beth tonight. And he's like, it just seemed like the right thing to do. I don't want this, love. I wouldn't want this. What do you mean? Yeah. What do you mean? It just seemed like the right thing to do. I need you to be madly and
because he knows that Teresa's a romantic and she would probably co-sign.
Sure, Teresa would co-sign, but that one, let's start here. Teresa's dead. Two,
but everyone is doing things in Teresa's honor.
I was going to say they're all justifying their bad decisions under Teresa's name.
They're making decisions in their grief, and it's a bad place to be making choices. Grieving is a bad time to be making big life decisions. Sometimes they work out and sometimes they don't. And you look back on it and be like, who the hell thought this was a good idea? He's like, oh, it was me in my grief when my brain chemistry was all completely fucked up. So yeah, he tells him it just seems like the right thing to do. I don't know. You're not ready. Like when he talks about how much he loved Sheridan, and even when we think about like how he proposed to Sheridan and what he said to Sheridan when he proposed to her and how much he was like, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. It's not like that for Beth. It's like, I proposed to Beth because I don't want to lose somebody else and it seems like the right thing to do, versus I proposed to Sheridan because I loved her deeply and I wanted to be with her for the rest of my life. He just doesn't want to lose Beth,
another person,
because he's worried that she might die, I guess, before they can get close enough to where he has like that great love again. I don't know, but I
also think that he has guilt over having to break up with her the first time.
I wish I had a bell to ring. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, you are absolutely right. He absolutely has guilt surrounding Beth.
Yeah,
he absolutely has a bunch of guilt surrounding Beth, and so
because they did love each other and they were gonna be together, and why he had to break up with her was stupid. Like, I get you have to take care of your family. Great, Beth is an extra income that can help you take care of the family. You know,
I think he didn't
to move Edna in with Pilar.
Oh goodness. Oh wow. I don't know how Pilar and Edna would get along. Because Edna is very good at faking, right? At faking being like a nice person, a good person. But if she couldn't keep that up, she wouldn't be able to keep that up for long. She would be bossing Pilar all up and down and around that house. She would. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Louise says he proposed to her. It just seemed like the right thing to do. He says it's hard. because my heart can't seem to let go of Sheridan. Then why do you think you should be marrying Beth? If you
To
can't
get over
let
Sheridan,
go,
apparently.
if you can't
Mhm.
let go, I just don't like it. I just feel bad for Beth in this whole situation. So this is when Gwen comes outside and
No, not
oh,
yet.
no? So go
No,
ahead and tell me.
because
Bree.
when he tells Ethan about the proposal, that's when Ethan's like, "Well, I was just." Oh no, you're right.
Yeah,
When
my
does come
note
out?
is
Sorry.
my note is that Gwen comes out and Ethan like grabs her by the waist and says, "I have
Yes,
something to tell you as well, Louise, and I hope you don't take this the
that's
wrong
right.
way."
I
But
forgot that
Gwen,
she was there
yeah,
when he
but
said
Gwen
it.
and I are back together. It's actually a
Woohoo!
nicer moment because he's doing it in front of Gwen, showing her like I'm telling people about us, right?
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's
there you go.
official.
Go ahead and you wanna yeah,
It's
you
official.
gonna get your one hand clap. I'm not clap. I'm not
No.
using my sound for
Oh,
that.
damn. But whatever. It's there. It's
They're
official.
officially
And
yeah.
yep.
Yeah, they're officially
Because let's
back
remember the
together.
reason why they were there is because they just got it on.
They just got it on. Yeah, they did.
Oh, damn. I knew it. I knew you were going to do that.
No, I thought
But
about it.
whatever.
They are back together. It is what it is. And
Yeah.
so he tells them, Louis says, I wish you both the best, and we should all
Yeah.
be trying to find some happiness. And
Yeah.
he
And Ethan
said,
did say that he hopes he doesn't take it the wrong way. And it's no disrespect to Teresa, which I felt like this should have nothing to do with Teresa, but we know it will.
well, it has everything to do
Whatever.
with Teresa. But anyway,
Whatever.
Then Luis did something that annoyed the crap out of me. He starts talking about Teresa. And he's like, "Yeah, I know Teresa brought a lot of her own heartache on herself. I just never thought it would lead to her death." And like, she just died. She's still warm in the living room. Can we, ease up on Teresa at least for a little while, right?
Well, because
Just
he
for a
also
little
was
bit.
like letting them know, like, he had broken up with her a while ago. This wasn't like, oh, we were together, Teresa died while we were together, and I moved on.
Right.
No, I was over
Okay. 'Cause
Teresa for
I
a
was
while.
gonna finish it.
Look, I have eyes. Gwen's my girl, but I understand the situation. And then again, he praises Gwen again that she's been amazing throughout all of this because she has been following him around.
She made herself available. I won't fault her for that because that's what I've been saying about Teresa at the beginning of their relationship. She made herself available to Ethan and he picked her up. She was there and he picked her up. So they
But she just didn't manipulate situations to make sure she's there. But then that's going to get us into a fight, so let's not get into it.
No, they both kind of come to terms with, I'm glad that you're trying to find some happiness and, they have that kind of situation. And then Luis starts talking about how he goes over to the man. Beth
No,
shows
before
up.
that, Beth shows up.
That shows up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Beth shows
And
up.
that was manic. Where were you? You weren't answering your phone. And it's like, whoa, calm down. Like, you could tell her mother gets in her head and makes her psychotic.
Her mom.
Because, like, you guys just got together. He just proposed, and you're already acting like, where were you?
Her mom had worked her up into a tizzy. And while she was like repeating, Sheridan is dead, she had been trying to call Luis. And could not get him on the phone. So she had gone out and is searching the town for him. And she finds him at Sheridan's cottage of all places. And she says that to him. She's like, where were you? I've been looking all over for you. I've been trying to call you. You weren't answering your phone. He's like, oh, I must have turned it off by accident. And she says, well, why are you here? Why are you at Sheridan's cottage of all places? And he lies. He says, oh, I just came to the mansion to check on Mama and I ran into Gwen and Ethan. That doesn't answer my question. The only reason you ran into Gwen and Ethan is because you were at Sheridan's cottage. And this is not the main house. I believe you have to go past the main house to get to Sheridan's cottage. right?
Mhm.
It's on the grounds. You come,
Yeah.
the way I think of it is you come up the main gate, you come up the main driveway, and you're at the main house, and then somewhere on the grounds is Sheridan's cottage. So if he was there to see Pilar specifically, he would have gone to see Pilar. But he was reminiscing, walking around town, thinking about Sheridan. And I
Yeah.
know he didn't want to tell her that, but he needs to consider, why am I having all of these feelings about Sheridan? If I'm having all of these feelings about Sheridan and it's making Beth feel this way, she feels so insecure that she's running around town looking for me. Maybe I'm doing more harm than good. But
Yeah.
Luis proposing to Beth is extremely selfish on Luis's part. And I'm going to stand by that for a while. I am. To me, it's extremely selfish because for him, he just doesn't, I quote, don't want to lose somebody else. Right. I just, he doesn't love her the way that he should. And
Yeah.
it's unfortunate. So yeah, he says that he was going to see Mama. You need to calm down, basically. And
Yeah.
she believes it, but I know Beth's a smart girl, and she clocked exactly what was going on when she saw him there. She clocked it immediately. So he goes over to the mansion. I guess Beth goes home. They both were supposed to go to the mansion, but she doesn't go.
Yeah. But before they leave, we have a cute little touching scene with Gwen and Ethan, because Gwen is like, oh, they look good. So she's like, oh, they look good together, and I hope Louise can move on from his life. And Ethan's like, he deserves some happiness. And Gwen's like, yeah, well, so do you. Ethan's like, well, thanks for sticking by me, Gwen. Not many women would. And Gwen's like, yeah, I know, but I'm not like many women. I love you, remember? And Ethan's like, I remember. Sweet. Whatever. Wait till I get my soundboard up and running. Wait.
I'm gonna cut it all out. No, I'm joking. All right. So anyway, we're gonna have dueling soundboards. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Good God.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
So yes, after that sweet moment, as Maria has,
I had
said
to
it so
relish in it
nicely.
because that's the only Ethan and Gwen we get for the rest of the week. So
It is, but
I was living for it.
They didn't feature in this week very heavily at all, which I didn't. They weren't missed because they weren't necessary. You know, they're all doing their blissful thing. They don't have any drama right now.
They probably went back and had more sex.
They likely
or made more love.
They probably made more love. And so Luis then heads over to the mansion where he encounters Miguel, and he has some conversation with Miguel, which was nice. It's nice to see Miguel and Luis talk as brothers. I feel like we don't get enough of that family interacting with each other as like family members, right? But they basically are bringing each other up to speed on what's going on. Miguel talks about how he's been having issues with Charity, and and Luis is encouraging him to figure it out. And so. Then Luis, of course, turns the conversation around and talks about Antonio and just starts talking cash money shit about Antonio and saying that he's so selfish and why isn't he here? He should be here. Like he at one point it's not right here, but I'm just gonna say a lot of the things that Luis says. At one point, he like basically blames Antonio for Teresa's death. He's like, maybe if he had been here, he could have talked some sense into her. It's like, you couldn't.
Exactly. Why would he think Antonio has more control over what Teresa does?
Yeah,
no one could sway Teresa from her whatever she was thinking or doing.
Why would Antonio have more sway than you, considering Antonio, she doesn't even know that man. She doesn't even know him. If anybody had more, between the two of you, you would have more sway over her than Antonio does, right? Like, in my opinion, maybe I'm overthinking it, but it doesn't make any sense why Antonio being there would have made any real difference.
And Pilar tells him as much.
Yeah, she does. It doesn't make any difference. So yeah, he talks to Miguel and they have a nice conversation. He then tells Miguel that he has his issues with the cranes. They talk about the cranes, but the one thing that he says that I'm glad that they brought up is that he speculates and believes that Julian had something to do with the boat explosion in Bermuda. This is the first time we hear this suspicion from him. And so I'm very glad that we have not just let that die, that's coming back up again. He says, I think that Julian had something to do with that. And he's the one that killed Sheridan. And they have more brotherly conversation and yada, yada, yada. Miguel goes off to find Charity, right? So Luis goes into the mansion to check on Pilar. And let's talk about, before we get to what's going on with Pilar and Luis, let's talk about what's going on with Ivy, Teresa, Rebecca, Pilar, all of that, because these two things intersect here, right? So... y'all, Teresa is haunting Ivy and Rebecca, and I love it.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is.
The best.
Yeah, Ivy and Rebecca have been chased around this house by Teresa, you know, when we pick up, and they're outside of the haunted mansion right now, right? And they're just, they're very freaked out, like, oh my God, Teresa. And they're worried that if she wakes up again and reveals herself to Pilar, then she'll tell Pilar the whole story and what's going on, right? Because this corpse Teresa knows exactly what happened. She has told them as much. She told them as much. She's like, I know you tricked me. I know you manipulated me into doing this, right? So then Pilar comes raging outside.
That was actually really
outside. Good. She drags Rebecca back inside by her hair. Has her by her hair and is tugging her into the house, and she's like, look at my daughter, look at her, I know you did this, I know you did it. And she says, someone tampered with my daughter's body. She says, look at her hair's all disheveled. This isn't how she was looking. I know you did this. What kind of person would do this to a dead body? And Rebecca's like, Pilar, I swear I would never touch an icky dead body, as God is my witness. Oh my gosh. And Pilar then tells both of them, like, just get the hell out of here. Just stay the hell away from my daughter. And so then Ivy and Pilar, I'm so used to saying Ivy and Pilar.
Yeah.
I'm so used to saying them like as a duo, but it's Ivy and Rebecca. They're continuing to worry about Teresa, worried that she'll reveal herself to Pilar. Pilar hears the baby. She goes upstairs to check on the baby. And this is when Alistair comes in and like places his hand on.
Scares the.
Yeah.
No, it was a flower.
Was
he
it
put a flower on their shoulder? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because when he reveals himself, you see him toss the flower.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, he reveals himself to the lady. He scares the crap out of them.
Yeah, it couldn't be a hand because they, it was like the bait and switch. They were thinking it's Teresa, and you would be able to tell by the hand. So they didn't want to use the hand, so they used the flower.
Okay, yeah. So he comes in and the ladies tell him everything. They're like, Teresa, she came to life. She was chasing us around the mansion. She is alive. Like she's a zombie, basically. We've got zombie Charity and we've got zombie Teresa now.
Yep.
And he tells them, you're drunk.
Yeah.
Like, keep your drunken hallucinations to yourselves. We don't need any more bad press, right? Mm-hmm. And then he just leaves. And
no, before he leaves, he goes and he does touch the body and checks for a pulse. I was like, that's kind of weird to be touching a dead body.
Yeah. So Ivy gets out of there. She's very creeped out. She's like, you can stay in here with this body if you want to, but I'm getting the hell out of here. Rebecca is like, well, maybe Alistair's right and Teresa's fine. And Teresa's not alive. She's dead. Like, of course, Alistair's right because Alistair's always right. And then Teresa pops up and she says, Alistair's not right this time. So then Rebecca just runs off screaming, runs off screaming. And then Teresa goes upstairs to talk to her mother. She's like, I have to tell you. I need to tell you something worse is coming. Like, I have to warn her
what
about
lies
the danger.
Ahead.
That's what it is. Mm-hmm. I have to warn you about
what lies
danger.
Ahead. Yeah,
that's coming for you. And so she says that to Pilar's like unconscious body. There's a lot of like back and forth creepy with Phyllis. It is what I mean. I think this one is actually supposed to be creepy. Like usually it's like, some guy talking, like Brian talking at Diana's unconscious body, telling her how much he loves her and can't wait to get in her pants. But This time, I think it's supposed to be creepy
Mhm.
because she's a ghost, basically,
Yeah.
right? She's a ghost and she's haunting the mansion and she has to warn her mother of some mysterious danger. And so there's a lot of back and forth that I did not put in my notes with Phyllis. Phyllis comes in and out of the room a couple of
But
times.
before that, Teresa hears little Ethan and she's like, oh, my baby, little Ethan Martin, my dear sweet boy, mommy's here, mommy is here.
Yeah.
Mommy loves you, little Ethan, mommy loves you.
Mhm.
If only I can stay with you forever, but I can't. See, mommy was put to death today, so I won't be here to watch you grow up, but mommy will always be here always. I wrote it down because I thought it was really cute.
That is nice.
Mhm.
It was sweet. It was sad. Like,
Yeah.
but we all know Teresa will be back full-fledged soon.
But it's weird because that means Teresa thinks she's dead.
Yeah, Teresa seems to think she's dead. I don't know. Like I said, I
Yeah.
do not know. I do not remember what's going on with Teresa.
I actually know and I remember, but I'm trying to put myself
Yeah.
in I don't know what's going on. But I do.
I'm going to ask you this. How much longer are we going to do this with Teresa's like haunting?
That I don't remember. I don't remember how long.
I don't think it's
I don't
much.
think it's very long because once Julian's in the mansion, things starts to get revealed.
Right, because it can't be too long because at some point they got to put her in the ground, right? Like,
No, they never make it there.
right.
Something else
They never
At
make
some
it there.
point they're gonna have to put her in the ground, so it can't be too long. You don't just
No.
keep a dead body in your
No,
house
it doesn't even make it that far.
for like
So-
weeks on end. So
No,
hopefully
it's
we
not
don't
weeks
do
on
this for
end.
too long, and I will have my grand reveal very soon.
Yes,
but yeah, so
yes. And then
Teresa-
this is where they have Phyllis, and this is where we have confirmation that they changed the actress, which I'm sad about because I like the other one.
I know. I miss the old Phyllis. This one's not as funny to me. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Phyllis was hilarious. But yeah, Phyllis comes in and out of the room a couple of times. She doesn't see Teresa, but she wakes up Pilar saying she thought she heard the baby, and Pilar's like, oh no. So when Teresa does reappear to Pilar, she thinks it's Phyllis coming back into the room. But it's not, it's Teresa, and she fully and completely appears to Pilar and tells her, I have to warn you, mama, of the terrible danger ahead. And she says, you must be very, very careful. And then Pilar fully kind of wakes up, but Teresa has disappeared. So she was kind of in a daze when she saw Teresa. And by the time she was fully awake and fully like conscious, Teresa wasn't there anymore. So Pilar rushes downstairs, distraught, worried that Rebecca or Ivy had tampered with Teresa's body or something. And Luis is there. So this is when these two things intersect. Luis
Yeah.
is
One
there.
question though, and this I don't remember. What is Teresa warning her about? What is the danger?
I don't
I
know.
don't think they ever say. It's
yeah.
just like the little angel girl and Father Lonigan. They know it's coming, but they never ever give an answer.
Yeah.
Other than maybe she was warning her about, I guess, Julian coming back, but I don't think anything that major happens yet when he returns.
No, because she doesn't know that Julian came back yet.
Exactly. So it's weird how like Ghost Teresa 1 minute, like when Pilar and Luis are in the room, she seems to know that she's alive, but then we just had Ghost Teresa who thinks she's dead.
Yeah. It's very weird. It's very inconsistent.
Mhm.
I'm hoping once we reveal what's actually going on, it will explain, but I don't have a lot of hope because this is Passions. But yeah, as far as like what the danger is, I wonder if it's just kind of the generic, the way that Tabitha, or the way that the zombie is always like, yes, much more pain and suffering is in store for the citizens of Harmony, right?
Yes.
Maybe she was warning her about, well, that's not danger though. I was about to say maybe she was warning her about Antonio coming back and being sick, but that's not like danger.
Yeah, that's not danger.
So-
Like I
There's
don't know
never
what
in
this
any real danger.
premonition.
I don't know
Yeah.
what it is. I have no clue. And and truthfully, the world may never know because they
might not ever go back to it.
Passions is so bad about just starting something, sprinkling something in that seems like it could be important, and then it never comes back. You never see it again. So we'll keep this one. We'll add this one to the list and see if it ever shows up again.
Yeah, because I don't remember if they ever explain it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I know what happens, but I don't think it's that she was trying to do. So I don't know. We'll see.
Mhm.
So, yeah, Pilar encounters Luis downstairs, and she tells him that Teresa appeared to her in her room. And he tells her, well, it was just a dream. It's interesting that Luis, of all people, is telling her, like, this isn't real. It's just your mind playing tricks on you. Because he has been through the exact same thing with Sheridan, right? Like, he knew.
We forgot to mention that when he was talking to Gwen and Ethan, and at the same time, Diana remembered his name, and she said Luis, that Luis heard her. And was like, Sheridan?
I left it out of my notes because it made me mad. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Don't mean to judge it up.
You're right. You're right to bring that up. It should have been brought up. Yeah, that happened.
I forgot about it. Yeah.
That happened.
I did too. It was in my notes, but I didn't think it was that important. And I was just getting ready to say he literally just heard Sheridan call out his name, but he's gaslighting his own mother to be like, it's impossible that she appeared to you.
Agreed. 100%. He has been through these exact same kinds of situations with.
He's been in
Sheridan.
swimming pools with her. He's been in all kinds of weird things.
Remember
with
the
her.
lights? The
lights.
Yeah, like he remember he wouldn't beat up that scientist to try to make him make the Bermuda Aurora Borealis or whatever stay in the sky because he thought that the scientist could make it stay for some reason.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, he's just like, it's your mind playing tricks on you. And then they like look at Teresa's body. This girl is clearly breathing. She is clearly alive. They ignore it.
Gotta suspend belief.
Yeah, because it's like the actress is breathing, but we have to pretend that Teresa's is dead. But she was like, girl, you couldn't hold your breath for that little time that they had the camera on you. Really, she was breathing, breathing.
Then every time they turn around, her hand starts to go up.
Yeah,
that was just creepy.
Yeah,
that was
like
just
claw.
creepy.
Yeah, it's like a claw hand, and it's slowly like a zombie. They don't know what they want to do with this. They're not. It's clear that they're not sure what they're doing with Teresa at this point, because it's like, is she a ghost? Is she a zombie? Is she? They're not making.
Like homegirl was running around the mansion a minute ago, and now she can barely lift her hand.
Exactly. It's so slow and like creaky and decrepit, like coming up, like Tales from the Crypt. And
there was one point, remember, where she's laying there and someone, and I think Rebecca leave, and she just opens her eyes and she's all like, yeah.
They don't know what they're doing with her. They just wanted to throw in something weird and creepy and like bring somebody back from the dead, very in a thriller-esque way, I guess. But
I mean, I am getting a kick out of this Teresa. I love it. I love it. There's none of this fate talk. There's none of this chasing Ethan talk. There's none of that.
It's a lot of fun. It's fun to see her torment Ivy and Rebecca. That is a lot of fun, really. So then Luis tells Pilar, you're just tired. It's your mind playing tricks on you. Then he starts going in on Antonio again. This man can't stand his brother. He hates Antonio as much as Simone hates Whitney, right?
I just had a thought. I wonder if his anger toward Antonio is because he knows that Antonio has this girlfriend, is obsessed, and he's kind of a little jealous because he lost his love of his life.
No.
He thinks Antonio copies him because he makes that comment when Antonio tells Pilar that he's engaged. And like, well, of course he's engaged. I am too.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
I think Luis's anger with Antonio is actually quite well placed. It doesn't seem like it because we know everything. We know exactly what's going on. But if you look at it from Luis's point of view, here's what happened. Antonio left the family, didn't call them, didn't send a letter, didn't send a smoke signal for years. They haven't heard from this man. He just happened to happen upon him, and then got horrible news, right, that this thing was happening. He left him a note, and in his mind, Antonio got the note and just decided not to do anything, right? Then, on top of that, now Teresa... this whole thing has happened with Teresa. He never came home. Teresa's dead. He still hasn't called. He still hasn't come home. He hates it. I
Yeah.
actually, from Luis's point of view, I totally get it. When you have all of the facts, you know, like, oh well, Luis doesn't know what's going on with Antonio, and Antonio does. It's a classic misunderstanding,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But when the person who doesn't have the information, in between the two, I'm more so on Luis's side than I am on Brian/Antonio's side, because he would know all of this if he had stayed in contact with his family. A simple phone
Exactly.
call, a simple phone
Yeah,
call.
letter or not. Like, you have been obsessing over Diana that you never even called to check in on your mom.
Yeah, why
At
haven't you
all.
called her? Why haven't you called her now that you have established, like, reestablished connection with your family? I don't know. I feel like you should be calling her pretty regularly.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Now,
not
to
when
make
you
up for
get
time.
engaged to show off your girlfriend.
Yeah, at the very least, to make up for the lost time that y'all have had. You've missed so much time with your mom. When you want to call her pretty regularly and check on her and just make sure everything's
Yeah.
okay. I don't know. I talk to my mom
And
like
bring
every
her some
day.
candles because she wasted so many on you.
So many when you were fine. Actually, her candles probably what saved your ass the first time you were in that accident.
Mhm.
That's probably what saved his ass the first time. The candles and Liz's grit. That's it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so Luis is like going off about Antonio and how he should have been there, and that he is partially responsible for Teresa's death. If he had been there, maybe which I have already said I disagree with. It's nonsense. There's nothing Antonio could have done, which Shane rightly pointed out. Pilar says there's nothing Antonio could have done that we didn't all already do, and nothing changed. It didn't change anything. So I think I wrote in my note, Luis blames Antonio partially for Teresa's death. It's a reach, but I hate Brian, so I'll allow it.
He is awful.
It is a reach. Then Teresa mumbles Luis's name because he's like kind of raging at this point.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
And so he hears Teresa say his name, and he's like, wait a minute, I heard her say my name. And then he's just like, no, it's just my mind playing tricks on me. It wasn't Teresa. Of course, they go back and forth. But it's crazy because they both heard it. Luis heard it and Pilar heard it. And so he's like, no, it's just our minds playing tricks on us. I hate when they use this excuse because my mind is not the same as Maria's mind. The trick my mind's going to play on me is not the same trick that's going to play on Maria's mind. So why would you both hear Teresa say Luis? It doesn't
exactly. There's a lot of group delusions that are happening. Ivy and Rebecca seeing him, and everyone's like, no, it's your imagination. We can't both have the same imagination.
Yeah, we don't share a brain.
And it happens again because they do see her.
So he tells Pilar about his engagement at first. They go outside. Phyllis brings them like some cookies or something, and
That neither wanted.
Have this. Yeah, they both were like, I don't want this, but that's really nice of her to bring this to us. So they were like, we're going to have it on the terrace. They go out to the terrace so they can see inside of the house, right? And they have like a view of Teresa's coffin. And so they're out there. Antonio's talking about, Luis is talking bad about Antonio. Antonio calls.
Yes.
And on this phone call, it becomes clear and evident Antonio has no clue what is going on in Harmony. It becomes very clear because he asks Pilar to put Teresa on the phone.
Yep.
He clearly doesn't know.
But
Pilar
doesn't
say anything.
Which is also weird. Why are you not telling him now?
Yeah, I guess she wants to wait and tell him in person, but it's like
I was getting ready to say, maybe she thinks he wouldn't come home if she just went ahead and gave him the bad news.
I mean, you know what? I feel like that's fair enough. I think that would drive home the narrative that Antonio is selfish and a bad person. Like it will drive home the Luis narrative of Antonio being just selfish and bad, and he doesn't care about his family at all. So and maybe somewhere deep down, Pilar does think that about Antonio.
But he definitely wants to go to Harmony. He has a girlfriend. He needs to show her off.
Right, but
so maybe he would postpone.
What Shane is saying is if he knew what the bad things that were happening in Harmony, like the family's like in distress and distraught, maybe Pilar thinks that maybe if she told him that he won't come. and she wants him to come. Because deep down she believes the narrative that Luis has told her about Antonio, right? Like that. I think that's a decent.
Yeah, true.
You
We
know,
would at
theory.
least
I think it's a
postpone it most. Like, oh, this isn't the time for them to meet her.
yeah,
'Cause she just wants him to come home, like Pilar does.
True.
yeah. She just wants him,
Yeah.
to come, which he needs to. He should come
Mhm.
home. So yeah, they get off the phone like it's a regular conversation. And meanwhile, throughout the whole conversation, Luis is in the background, like giving commentary about like how horrible Antonio is. He's so selfish. He caused Teresa's death. Like he's just going off. While Pilar's like trying
And
to keep the phone,
does
you know,
Antonio
quiet.
know? Does Antonio know anything that's happened in Teresa's life? The fact that she was engaged to Ethan, that they broke up, Bermuda, being pregnant, being married to like he knows none of that.
I think he knows about the marriage to Julian. I think that's the end of it. I think that's the last, because the last thing we find out, or when Luis writes that letter to him, that note to him, what he's writing is about Teresa being arrested, right?
I don't remember.
No, not arrested. Not arrested.
He
Because
wrote it about the house burning down, I
when she
thought.
got arrested. Yeah, it was because the house burned down. It was because the house burned down. So the only thing he knows about Teresa up to this point is that she got wrapped up with Julian. Yes, I do believe he knows about that. I think he's talked about
And
it.
that she was pregnant. Did that come out yet? Well, if the house burnt down, then she was already pregnant because they took her to the hospital to check.
Pregnant. It's just
So he must have told her.
That timing. There's some weird time in there where she was trying to hide the pregnancy. So yeah.
Yeah, no, but remember they went to the hospital and that GYN saw the tail. It was because of the fire that she was in the hospital and
yeah,
you know, there was a tail on.
So I think Brian
baby.
did know about the pregnancy, and I think he did know about Julian. I believe. I know that Luis brought him up to speed on.
Yeah, so he didn't even ask about the baby.
He sucks. he's terrible, but yeah.
Wait, didn't you have a sound for him?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Aha, thank you for reminding me. I forgot.
Yes.
Yeah, I did that specifically for him.
Yep.
Specifically for him. Because he stinks. But actually, at this point, it's not really his fault. But he should have called. He should know. He should know, because he should have called by now. So anyway, they get off the phone call, and Antonio still doesn't know. And for some reason, Pilar doesn't explain to Luis that clearly Antonio doesn't know. And then they see Teresa sitting up in her casket. She sits up. I think Luis sees it, but Pilar doesn't. Is that
yeah.
I think
because didn't they leave to go into like the patio area too, because it was through a curtain. Yeah, because the whole time Teresa's hand is like creepily trying to touch him.
Yeah, they're on the terrace, and Teresa sits up, and Luis is like, "Oh my God, Mama, Teresa sat up in her coffin," but by the time they look at her, she's laid back down again. And because my note is that Pilar then tells him that his mind's playing tricks on him. It's like, okay,
you're right. Yes,
tricks. What's wrong with y'all brains? Do y'all need... Oh, well, it's too late.
If you want a sedative, there's something to quiet your nerves.
Whatever.
I think she needs to give that sedative to Teresa, because that girl just won't stay dead.
They need to give the drugs a break, really. Everybody needs to give the drugs a break. Everybody's just high. That's what's going on.
Everyone's high.
Everybody's just high. Well, that's it. That's all I have for today. Y'all have anything to add?
No, that's it.
Yeah, it was a decent week. There's some good stuff. It's not the most exciting, but it was good. What were you gonna say, Shane?
There was no David, and I was so happy to be on with the week that there was no David.
Oh my God, I don't even like.
Yeah, we have
that storyline. We haven't even touched on that storyline forever.
Haven't done that storyline in so long. It's just David pops up from time to time, just like in other people's little storylines to guilt Eve. Anywhere Eve is, he's there being like, "You could tell the truth, Eve." It's like, you could too. But
exactly. Like he wasn't even at the execution.
Well,
Even
why
though
should he
everyone
be?
in harmony.
No,
It was
no, that would have been too far. Passions. That would have been way too far. So that's it for the podcast, y'all. I hope we all enjoyed it. Shane, thank you so much. I hope you had a good time.
Yes.
Yes, thank you guys.
Yes, and hopefully we'll see you back again.
I'd love to.
All right. So before we sign off, Shane, is there, if you want people to follow you on social media, is there anything you want to tell us, like where to find you?
I'm Shane Lee Miller on all social media. X is going away soon because I had my biggest following on X, and I'm trying to cultivate that to blue sky. But I'm Shane Lee Miller on everything except Instagram. I don't know if it was a typo. I'm going to think that Miller was taken. I'm like Shane Lee Myler, which is only one L, and I didn't misspell my last name. But I would love to have any followers. I am fairly active to a degree, but I don't social media well, so I don't have like the biggest following. So
Same. And but I'll put that in the description. I'll put your
okay.
handles in the description. Maria, where can people find you?
You could email me at gwenfan329@aol.com or find me on the Discord.
Baby, I love that. Old school. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes. And you can also find me on the Discord. All right. So with that, that's the end of the episode. Thank you both for being here. You are my passion for life.